Jayhawks punch it in with Puka.
Standing on first down, looking in zone. Jayhawks
Down deep. Stoner. Touchdown, Cowboys.
FS1 College Football is sponsored by Dave and Buster's. The troops are ready. 6-3 Oklahoma State hosting the Kansas Jayhawks. KU trying to keep their bowl hopes alive by beating a ranked Oklahoma State team for the first time ever. And you can see new Kansas head coach back in Stillwater for the first time as a head coach in 15 years. Welcome inside, everybody, alongside former Big 12er and 10-year NFL veteran Ben Lieber. I'm Dan Hellie. Very much looking forward to this one, and so is Les Miles.
Yeah, I mean, we saw him before the game, and he was shaking our hands, a big smile on his face, saw a lot of familiar faces out there, so he looks excited to be back.
This features the two best running backs in the conference in Chuba Hubbard and Puka Williams, maybe the two best names as well.
But we are in for a treat today with these two guys. You look at Puka Williams, two different styles of running backs. Puka's more the elusive guy, quicker guy, really patient and setting up with blocks and finding creases, and they do a nice job of moving them all over the field. And then Chuba Hubbard, here's a guy that nobody's talking about for the Heisman Trophy, and all he does is lead the country in a lot of different rushing categories. The one that stands out to me is yards after contact. He's very fast and very physical runner. You can see the 18 total touchdowns, 1,600 yards, leads the FBS. It's going to take a lot of guys, not just one guy, but it's going to take 2 or 3 defenders to bring this guy down.
Chuba is an absolute monster, averaging 233 yards per game against ranked teams. And it's homecoming week here in Stillwater. Les Miles back. It's teacher and pupil Mike Gundy hugging out with the Miles family. We're ready to roll. FS1 College Football is sponsored by Dave & Buster's. Download the new Dave & Buster's Fun app today. Set to get things going here in Stillwater. Oklahoma State wins the toss. They have elected to defer to the second half. So we're going to see this Kansas offense coming out here first. A homecoming we talked about. Les Miles was here from 01 to 05. Said it was fun to be down here and see people that he's known for a long time. Actually brought his kids to a Mike Gundy football camp here a few years ago when they were going through the recruiting process. But this is first time here as a head coach.
Well, I can't imagine the emotions that he's going through right now. In 15 years is a long time, but at the same time, when you put so much into an organization, a team, and a school, I think there just has to be emotions that maybe he wasn't even ready for until he stepped foot back on campus, comes out onto this football field. Even though there's been some renovations, it's still the place that he has a lot of familiarity with. So I'm going to guess all those emotions are kind of put away at this point. Ball's about to be kicked off, so now it should just be a normal football game.
Les Miles brought in to Lawrence to help resurrect this Kansas program that had a rough few years, and he's trying to do something that they have never done. They have never beaten a ranked Oklahoma State team. Mike Gundy kind of took what Les Miles started here in Stillwater and has really built on it. He's going for his 14th straight winning season.
Well, you look at their career paths, both hugely successful. What Les Miles did at LSU, and what Gundy's done here, he doesn't get enough credit, and I don't think his staff gets enough credit for just the offensive innovation that was born here in Stillwater.
Set to get things underway here shortly. And the kickoff is through the end zone. So, as we said, our first look at this Kansas offense. And listen, this is not like the Kansas offense of old. When they get things going, when Carter Stanley, the quarterback, is on, this is a dangerous offense. He threw for over 415 yards against Texas Tech just a couple of games ago, but their last game against Kansas State, not quite as sharp.
Well, he still didn't have a ton of experience coming into the season, but they believed in him. They like the talent. They like the arm strength. He's a guy that really loves football, wants to digest football. He's been a little bit inconsistent, but when he's been on, he's been electric and dynamic.
Just 9 starts prior to this season. This year, he has been the guy under center for Kansas, and there he is right away, picking up about 4 yards. And they're going to look to keep this Oklahoma State defense on their toes. We talked in the open about Puka Williams. He is the straw that stirs the drink for this Kansas offense.
He really is, and he's such a jitterbug. He's one of these guys that you have to be very patient as a defender not to get outside your gap because he can hit on you. But he's going to be a guy that I think this defense, you stop him, and you have to make Carter Stanley beat you with his arm.
2nd and 7 here for Stanley. Going to call his own number again just past the 30-yard line, so they're going to be looking at a 3rd-4 situation. This Oklahoma State defense, it's never easy playing D in the Big 12 because a lot of points are put up on the board, but there is talent on every level of this Oklahoma State defense, young especially up front.
Well, you talk about Trace Ford just being a freshman. He's a guy at number 94 that's going to be all over the field. This is a 3-man front defensive line, but he becomes a 4th rusher a lot of times from the linebacker position or on the outside. And Colby Harvell-Peel on the back end of this defense has made a ton of plays in the passing game.
6th in the country in terms of passes defense is Harvell-Peel. We do have a man down on the field right now, so a little break in the action. But you talk about this Oklahoma State defense, they have been pretty solid against the run and the pass, but it is so difficult in this conference to play solid defense game in and game out as we look at Malik Clark, the left guard for Kansas, walking off the field. Kansas, an interesting situation on their offensive line. They rotate everybody on that line outside of their starting left tackle and team identity. So 3rd down now for KU, 3rd and 5. Stanley to pass. Off the fingertips. And the first drive going to be a 3 and out for the Jayhawks.
Well, a couple things that as you're watching Kansas's offense that you see with new offensive coordinator Brent Dearman, you're going to see a lot more 3 receiver sets, a lot more 4 receiver sets. And he told us yesterday that we need to get Carter Stanley more involved mentally, get him physically running the football. And we said, are you thinking more quarterback designed run game? He says, you'll see. And I think the first 2 plays tells us right off the bat, they want to get him running and using his legs first early and often in this game.
Kyle Thompson set to punt, averaging about 40 yards per. Dylan Stoner with the fair catch at the 35-yard line after the 35-yard punt. So our first look now at Spencer Sanders and this Oklahoma State offense. Spencer Sanders, one of the best freshman quarterback in the country this year.
Well, 2 years ago, he was Texas's Gatorade Player of the Year. And you think about just the talent that's in Texas, and he did at the highest level of Texas football. So he was a guy that everybody knew about. You know, he liked what was going on here. He likes the development that happens here at Oklahoma State. And you know, he's off to one heck of a freshman year in his first time starting for the Cowboys.
And he certainly has some help in the backfield with number 30. That's who gets the ball for the first carry of the game for Oklahoma State. Chuba Hubbard bottled up on that first carry, might have picked up 2.
Well, he's the guy that we talked about him in the open. You know, he leads the country in a lot of rushing categories. You know, he's a super fast track speed going vertically, but he breaks a lot of tackles. And then on the outside, they got Dylan Stoner, who needs to step up. Tylan Wallace goes out. It's an NFL caliber player in production that they're missing, so Dylan Stoner needs to step up in this game.
2nd and 9, set to throw, has a man over the middle. He's open out inside the 30-yard line. First pass of the game, first completion of the game, and wouldn't you know, it's Dylan Stoner, the man that has replaced the injured Tylan Wallace, and it goes for 34 yards. Huge chunk play right off the bat.
Well, huge chunk play, and it was all set up by Spencer Sanders, just buying some time. That's the thing. When you're a dual quarterback, everybody knows that it's not just your arm you have to worry about, it's about your legs, and he has a nice feel in the pocket of just extending plays, not always breaking the pocket to get some positive yardage, but just extending the plays. Stoner comes from right to left, finds the void in the defense for a big play.
18 plays this season of 50 yards or more, and here is Spencer Sanders with some room to the 15-yard line before he's finally forced out of bounds. So the Oklahoma State offense clicking, a 14-yard gain for Sanders.
Well, and this is where DJ Elliott, the defensive coordinator for Kansas, said we have to obviously stop Chuba Hubbard, but the teams that have been killing us this year are the running quarterbacks. So we have to pay attention to Chuba in the run game, but we cannot forget about Spencer Sanders running with the football just like he did there.
He said we're solely focused on stopping those running quarterback, which is not an easy thing to do in the Big 12. And here is Chuba with him, and he walks into the end zone. First touchdown of the game, Chuba Hubbard. So first driver score, they're making it look easy.
Well, one thing that really showed up on tape is there's a lot of yardage to be gained on the left side of this offensive line, and this is where this play hits. It's just a simple inside zone. Everybody just has a guy that comes in their area, and there was a hat for hat. Check it all out right here. Look at all the gray shirts engulfing and embodying the white jerseys. Very easy for a guy like Chuba Hubbard to use his vision to cut back and get in the end zone.
The extra point is up, and the extra point is good from Matt Amendola. 65 yards in under 2 minutes. 7-0. Oklahoma State on top here in Stillwater. Oklahoma State on top, and it is their best player scoring the first touchdown of the game, Chuba Hubbard.
We'll take a look at left guard Marcus Keys here. He just helps out his tackle. It's that little push just to wash that defense down a little bit, then comes off up to the second level and gets a hat on the hat, as we see right here. The top rushers in the NCAA this season. We talked about he leads a lot of the nation in a lot of rushing categories, and you take a look at some of those names on there. Those are some impressive names in college football.
Chuba Hubbard has been almost unstoppable this year. We talk about the Heisman Trophy, and it's all about the quarterbacks, but this guy is putting up numbers right up there with Heisman Trophy winning running backs over the last 20 years.
He really is, and you know, he keeps developing his game, and I think that's the one thing that's impressive to watch him is, you know, he's known as like sort of a track speed guy. He gets out in the open, nobody's going to catch him, but he's done a much better job being patient, setting up his blocks, running with power. He's becoming a complete package.
Stanley swings it out to the left side, picks up 3 as his wide receiver, Kwame Lassiter.
Well, and this is another area that we were kind of cued into, was not only going to see some quarterback run game out of Carter Stanley, but expect a lot of short, quick passing game early on just to get that rhythm going, get a feel for this football game, and then don't be surprised when Kansas now takes some shots over the top.
3 wide receivers to Stanley's right. Going to keep it on the ground here with Puka Williams. Spins out of 1 tackle, but can't get away from that Oklahoma State defense, specifically Israel Antoine, one of the more active members of this young defensive line. He started the last 5 games.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how many defensive tackles and defensive linemen make some plays on Puka Williams, because their job in this game is to be very patient with the blocks. They can't get off their blocks too early to vacate their gap, because a guy like Puka's going to dance around, and he's going to find a seam in the middle of that field.
Elton Gardner in at running back now. And he goes up the middle and picks up the first down. You talk about Carter Stanley. They want to get the ball out of his hands quick. They want to find a rhythm. New offensive coordinator Brent Dearman, just in his 4th game as the OC for KU.
Right, in just his 4th game, and he has been explosive. You know, they've gone for over 500 yards several times under his play calling and his education. So this offense is different with him.
Throwing on first down again, not able to hook up with Kwame Lassiter. Stanley in his last game that lost to Kansas State, the Sunflower Showdown, sold out in Lawrence. They were pumped up coming off that huge win over Texas Tech, and they just kind of came out flat in that one.
Yeah, which is kind of bizarre, because obviously it's a rivalry game and they got sold out house, and they came out flat. No sense of urgency, not a lot of tempo. And I know it's something they discussed during the bye week.
Puka Williams running out to the left wing. That went out quickly to Lassiter. And Lassiter is wrestled down right away.
So clearly something during the bye week, they thought, you know, as every team does, you're going to self-scout yourself. They thought they were becoming a little bit too predictable on offense, and maybe we're starting to see some of those adjustments, because Kwame Lassiter came in this game as not really a go-to guy, with Parchment on the outside and Stephon Robinson and Daylon Charlotte. But so far early in this game, they've been targeting number 8 a lot.
And the toss out to Williams. He's bottled up in the backfield and manages to escape. That is where he is so slippery. That should have been a loss of about 7. And he's able to make it a 2-yard gain.
Well, you'll see just the penetration up front. And again, look at the vision and just the way he can stick his foot in the ground, spin out, use his hand to get some balance. Doesn't pick up a first down, but that's the type of athlete that this Oklahoma State defense is going to have to guard against each and every time he gets the ball in his hands.
Dylan Stoner back deep to receive for the Cowboys. Ball lands just inside the 10-yard line and out of bounds at the 5. Very nice hunt by Kyle Thompson. 53 yards, pins him inside the 5-yard line. Coming up, look number 2 at Chuba. Keep your eyes on this young man today, Chuba Hubbard, coming into the game with over 1,600 yards on the ground, the leading rusher in the nation. Really burst onto the scene this year. Wasn't on a lot of radars coming out of Canada, but he certainly is now.
No, it's quite the story coming out of Canada, and, you know, he's really developed and really an all-around back. Does a great job of pass protecting as well.
And here's Chuba again, puts his head down out past the 10-yard line. That's going to go in the books as a 6-yard gain.
Well, and I think that right there just kind of shows you the type of running back he is. You know, he gets vertical, it's one cut, and he's better this year falling forward. You know, he takes contact, but he'll pick up a yard or two after that.
This time Sanders keeps it by himself. He's met right away in the backfield. Jay Deneen, the sophomore from Lawrence, on the stop.
Well, Deneen's an interesting guy because as of late, he's a backup linebacker, and Kyron Johnson's the starter, but has not played very well as of late. And Jay Deneen, who's got quite the lineage of Deneens at Kansas, comes in, has been playing very well, and is getting earned the trust there of DJ Elliott and his staff.
His brother Joe, starting linebacker last year. 3rd and 7 here for the Cowboys. And they're going to be forced to punt. Unable to connect there is Spencer Sanders.
Well, if that's the answer that you're looking for Kansas' defense, you give up one drive, you have a big shot to Dylan Stoner, and then you give up the 15-yard touchdown to Chuba, and then you come right back with a great punt. You talk about field position. You pin them back inside the 10. The defense steps up with the tackle for loss, and here's Oklahoma State with this dynamic offense having a punt.
Tom Hutton pounding out of his own end zone, a end-over-end kick. Bounces at the 40 and then bounces backwards, wisely down at about the 33-yard line. So great field position for this Kansas offense after a 24-yard punt from Oklahoma State. We'll see if the Jayhawks can do anything with it coming up. Back in Stillwater, Oklahoma State on top of Kansas 7-0, but KU in great field position here as we take a look at the Big 12 standings. Baylor, the only undefeated team left in the conference, but still others with a shot here. Oklahoma certainly among them, and Carter Stanley goes down. That Oklahoma State defense making a move and making it move quickly. Jarek Bernard on the sack.
Well, Jarek Bernard just comes right off the right edge of the offense, basically untouched on a corner blitz, and he gets the sack. And the thing is, it's a great call because that's the thing that KU's shown to do on first down, especially at this field position. They will take some shots. They guess right. They get a sack by Jarek Bernard.
Carter Stanley looking at 2nd and 15. Puka Williams beside him in the backfield. 2 wide receivers to the left, 2 to the right. Stanley looks to the right, then over the middle, and that is complete. Just short of the first down. Hauling in the pass for Kansas is Stephon Robinson, the 2nd leading receiver for the Jayhawks this year.
Well, that was a great play for Stanley, and I think that's the type of play that he needs to have, and he needs to build off of. A lot of passes so far horizontally in this game. This is the first real downfield throw, and he had to wait for that throw to open. Stefano's running an in-cut, a little dig route in between the hashes. He had to fight through some defenders and find that void, and Carlson was patient enough to deliver that football with some velocity.
3rd and 2 for the Jayhawks. The pitch to Puka. Puts his head down, and he's not going to get it. So decision time for Kansas here.
Well, an interesting call. There you go with Puka Williams, who we talked about how dynamic and electric he is, but he's not a very big guy, only about 170 pounds. I would think in a short yardage situation, you'd go with a bigger back, maybe even a fullback, just a quick hitter to try to pick up that first down. But it looks like Kansas is going to opt to play a little bit more conservative and try the field goal here on 4th down.
Going to be a 42-yard attempt for Liam Jones. They have certainly had their kicking issues this year as Kansas. And that one is no good. So Kansas at prime time field position after a punt inside the 5-yard line, and they are unable to put any points on the board here in Stillwater. That one, no good, off the upright. Back in Stillwater, Oklahoma doesn't get any more America than this. The Oklahoma State Cowboys hosting Kansas. 7-0 right now. The score, the Pokes on top. Coming up the halftime show, Rob Stone and the crew going to preview the Big 12 battle tonight between Oklahoma and Baylor. And is Minnesota a playoff contender? Those conversations coming up on State Farm at halftime. Jay Deneen on the tackle for this Kansas defense. And second and about 3, keeping it on the ground here is Oklahoma State. Why not? When you have Chuba Hubbard, and he's pushed out of bounds by Davon Ferguson, 1 yard shy, pick up the first down.
Well, we didn't really know what we're going to see out of Oklahoma State offensively. They've had in the past, they're kind of known as a tempo team. They're going to know huddle. They're going to look to the sidelines. But the last couple of games, for a variety of reasons, they huddled the ball a lot more. And we didn't know if they're going to come out and huddle. So far right now, it's a lot of no huddle, back to their old ways.
Here's Chuba again, a hole around the right side. They'll be 3 yards shy, picking up the first down. Yeah, we talked to offensive coordinator Sean Gleason and asked him about huddling up last game. They only threw 15 passes in that win over TCU. And he said, you know, we just thought it would be better to huddle up because people have been stealing our signals. And when we're calling the play in the huddle and not looking over the sideline, they're not able to steal our signals.
It's crazy to think that that's where we're getting to, where these code breakers are getting so good about signal stealing.
Here's Chuba again, breaks a tackle out to the 50-yard line, picks up the first down. You alluded to that earlier. When there's nothing there, he puts his head down and kind of burrows forward for an extra couple of yards, and there it was worth a first down.
Well, and the other thing to keep in mind is he's not that big. You know, he's just under 210 pounds, so he's not a big bruising running back, but he has added some strength, some lower body strength, and you can just see you get a bunch of white jerseys making contact, but he's still moving those legs forward and turning ahead. And if he wants to have a chance at the next level, which he's going to, he will be an NFL player. Coaches want to see him get the tough yardage. You know, a lot of guys can get to the NFL, and they have the vision, they have the cuts, but can you make people miss? And if you get hit, can you fall forward? And he's developed into the strong player. Everybody knows again about how fast he is. We take a look again just at his statistics, and it's just every single game he's just turning out big play after big play. He's the 296 against the Kansas State defense that prides itself on stopping the run, and he just goes for just shy of 300 yards.
4 200-yard games so far this year for Hubbard. Sam's going to throw, dumps it off to Chuba. Chuba inside the 40, stays on his feet, down to the 30-yard line for Chuba Hubbard.
Well, and the crazy thing is, we talked about how polished he is an all-around back. Blitz pickup, pass protection. That's only his 10th reception on the year. So we asked the coach, does he not have great hands? Like, what's up with his hands? They're like, no, he's got great hands. He stays after practice. He catches all the balls off the jugs machine. It's just that in this type of offense, we don't really need him to catch the football. But again, I think if they want to showcase him for the next level, they're going to have to get him involved in more screen game type stuff, just like you saw some things on the outside. He's too dynamic just to have in the backfield running with the football.
That's the first thing when I looked at the numbers prior to this game that popped out to me. Why does this guy not catch more balls coming out of the backfield? And you mentioned that's just his 10th catch of the season. But he has good hands. He likes to catch. He works out with the wide receivers every single day.
He works out with them. I think, he understands that that's a big facet of developing his game. And, that's not a tough catch that we're seeing like a little screen pass. But I would like to see him get out involved in, motioned out, some F-angle type stuff, some stuff down the sideline to see if you can catch some tougher footballs.
LD Brown checking in the game right now. Sanders fakes the handoff to him, and he is wrapped up right away. Azur Kamara plays that jack linebacker position. Nice play by Kamara.
Well, and Kamara's one of these guys, a bright spot of his defense. He's the team's leading tackler and tackles floss, and you can see why. He just comes off the edge unblocked. But when you're a backside chase player like that, not only do you have to show some speed, but you have to show some angles. You have to be able to adjust to the ball carrier that's trying to get downhill as well. And Kamara's done a terrific job this season doing that.
Oklahoma State on 2nd and 9. Sanders looks to throw, keeps it himself, tries to hurdle a man, picks up the first down as he's going out of bounds. That was Kyle Mayberry on the tackle. And that is such a dangerous play. It paid dividends for Sanders there, though.
I'm always worried. If I'm a ball carrier, I know it looks cool, but I just wouldn't want to get hit in you-know-where. Nobody wears protection out there in football. It's too bulky. You can't move, so why expose yourself like that?
Well, he was certainly exposed there. Picked up the first down to Sanders, keeping it on the ground to Brown. Malcolm Lee on the tackle for KU.
Well, take another look at it. And I talked about Azur earlier. He makes the play, and now he sort of gets juked by Spencer Sanders coming around the edge. But you see the leap? Obviously, he was expecting Mayberry to go low, but Mayberry stays high and just sort of straddles his shoulder pads.
Well, we talked about Chuba and his ability to run the ball. Certainly, that is one of the facets of Sanders' game. Very productive on the ground. He's picked up 588 yards and run for a couple of touchdowns this season. 2nd and 6. Little inside flip, and that is Dylan Stoner picking up another first down for Oklahoma State, forced out of bounds by Davon Ferguson.
Well, I know people are going to get exhausted having us talk about Chuba Hubbard as we see you shaking up on the play, but Chuba was out on that play. He was not the ball carrier. They asked him to lay a block, and he lays just enough of a block on the outside to kind of widen that running lane. You'll see the end of this play here where Stoner may have gotten injured.
Kind of right on the boundary area there when Davon Ferguson gave him that last shove out of bounds, and he was just unable to gather himself before he ran into all the equipment over there. And Stoner, listen, this is a big-time player for this offense. Coaches say, listen, there's no reason why he can't play on the next level. And you see that, he got in there pretty hard.
Well, these are tight sidelines. That's the one thing when I was a player at Kansas State I really enjoyed about playing at a place like this or like at Colorado. There's not a lot of margins on the sideline, which make the fans feel like they're on top of you. But on top, with that comes this danger. You've got these guys running at full speed. You get a little extra shove from the sides. Hard to gather yourself and decelerate. And he had to use that padding in that wall to sort of absorb the blow. And thankfully, hopefully it looks like one of those get the wind knocked out of you situations, and hopefully he'll be back in the game.
First down here from the 6-yard line. Oklahoma State keeps it on the ground. And Chuba not going anywhere. 3 Jayhawks there to meet them. Bryce Tornadin, the first man there. He is the leading tackler for Kansas this year, playing that hawk position.
Well, you see exactly why Chuba had to bounce that on the outside, because everybody did such a good job clinging to their A gaps, their gap responsibility. We talk about the gap integrity of defenses where everybody's in their gap. When you play the way you're supposed to play the run defense, things have to bounce to the outside, and the free hitter was tornadoed.
You see the red zone numbers there for that KU defense. Not been great the last few games. This is Spencer Sanders keeping it on the ground. It gets inside the 5-yard line. Darius Moraney, KU defensive end on the stop.
Well, again, red zone defense and red zone offense is obviously hugely important in the football games, but every defense has to streak down their defense a little bit. Makes it a lot harder for offenses to be successful down here. And KU's doing a really good job with their defensive front, holding those blocks, and linebackers are making plays just like they did on Sanders there.
Third and goal, 10 seconds on the play clock. And here's Chuba in for his second touchdown of the game.
Well, I don't want to take anything away from the blocking scheme up front for Oklahoma State, but Kansas's defense looked a little bit confused on what they were doing. I think they were trying to run a blitz to the right. You see the guys kind of shuffling over. There was some confusion with the guys in the back end about who was supposed to cover, who was supposed to blitz. And I think that a little bit of that indecision on the defense allowed Chuba Hubbard just to kind of snake his way into the end zone.
That is touchdown number 20 on the ground for Chuba Hubbard. That is tied for the most in the country. Extra point up and good. So 14-0, Oklahoma State on top as the first quarter has just 3 seconds to go here, and this Cowboys offense proving to be a tough task for this Kansas defense to stop. Defensively, Kansas has struggled a bit this year, especially on third down. Everybody's struggling, though, with Chuba Hubbard. That was a 12-play, 75-yard drive, ate up 5 minutes and 44 seconds. And that was very much about Chuba Hubbard.
Okie 01, hold short. Runway clear to land. 18, ready for departure. So we take off 18, Okie 01.
Those uniforms, if you're wondering what's going on, we have a flag down on the field after the kickoff. They are honoring the military as we are just a few days removed from Veterans Day, and as a sign of solidarity and honoring the troops. No names on the back, just Cowboy Battalion, and we were down on the field before the game. These things are sharp.
And I'm telling you, I want this whole outfit. I want the whole getup. Not just you should see the warm-up gear too, the hoodies. I want a hoodie. I want the helmet. I want the matte black helmet. The pants are sweet. I mean, I'm telling you what, when they unveiled these on Monday, I guess the team meeting room just went bonkers because everybody loved them.
Well, no reason not to. Nike did a heck of a job on those uniforms. Puka Williams not going anywhere, just bottled up. Amen Abangamiga, the first man there. Say that 10 times fast as we take a look at Chuba Hubbard. Not one, but 2 touchdowns in the first quarter of this game. Oklahoma State on top after 14-0. After 1 here in Stillwater. Kansas looking at 2nd and 11. They had a very good chance with great field position starting on the 33-yard line. They miss a field goal. And flash line on their first snap here of the second quarter.
False start, offense number 77. 5-yard penalty, it's second down.
Penalty call on Andrew Tovey. Referee for this game, Brandon Cruz. And self-inflicted wounds, something that Kansas can ill afford here in Stillwater, down 14-0.
No, they need every yard that they can get, and having Tovey, who is the center snapping the football, should never false start.
Stanley with time, man over the middle, big play, but ball's put on the ground. That was Dalen Charlotte, and they ruled him down on the field. If that is indeed the case, that is a huge break for Kansas as the boos raining down here at Boone Pickens Stadium.
Well, you expect the fans to do nothing less, right? Even if it was open and obvious, you see Charlotte does a nice job just kind of, again, finding the middle of that football field. And now they're probably going to take a look at this because it was closer than I thought.
That's Rodarius Williams on the tackle.
Well, to me, just looking at the first replay, his left hip area looks to be in contact with the ground before that ball is completely dislodged. Now, Dalen Charlotte, immediately when the ball came out, he was signaling, pointing to the ground like he knew that he was, at least he thinks he knows that he was on the ground, pretty emphatically saying that he was on the ground. Take another look at it here. So it'd be his right hip hits the ground before that ball is out. What do you think, Dan?
I think you're right. I think that right side was down. It was close, though.
It was very close. You know, in real time, the officials were pretty committed to the idea that they thought that he was on the ground or contacted the ground before the ball came out. Clearly, the review from upstairs thinks that we should take another look at it, but in real time, it looks like for them that the ball came dislodged after that right hip had contacted the ground.
Well, this is one of those plays that is a chunk play for Kansas that so far today have been few and far between.
The ruling that the runner was down stands as called. It's first down.
First down after the 20-yard gain by Dalen Charlotte.
Well, and this is, I think, where, unfortunately, KU has to get off script. They have to get away from their game plan. You're down 2 touchdowns and 2 scores. So, yes, you want to get Puka going, but you have to start taking some shots downfield like they just did with Charlotte.
There's Puka in motion, and they toss it back, and it's picked off. Thomas McVitie throws the interception on the trick play. Trace Ford with the interception for Oklahoma State, the only true freshman to start on the Cowboy defense this year, make the monster play.
He makes a monster play, but this is obviously just a bad decision as they're looking for Stephon Robinson in the middle of the field. That was the first read. That's the primary read. He comes back to the secondary read, trying to find Puka Williams, just laying down in the flat, but he did not see Trace Ford just sloughing back, dropping back in coverage. And a lot of times those trick plays, if the first read is not there, just tuck the ball and run. You're not a quarterback. You're not designed to see underneath defenders. Inopportune time for Kansas to have another mistake.
McVitie not getting a lot of playing time this year, as that's a first down for Oklahoma State, as they have no problem moving the ball very quickly. Kyron Johnson on the tackle after Jelani Woods, the big tight end, 6'7", 265, picks up 14 yards.
It's hard to imagine he was a former quarterback, but he's obviously put on some weight since he's been here, but he's a big boy, 265 pounds.
Career high 5 receptions against Baylor. Here's Chuba inside the 30-yard line after the 9-yard carry. Kyle Mayberry there on the stop.
Well, that's sort of what, when you watch a lot of their games, that happens with Chuba. Is we talked about his abilities to pick up yards after contact, but there's going to be a lot of these just sort of 6, 7-yard, 8-yard plays, and then they're going to grind it out, and they're going to wear you out, and then when you're tired of hitting this guy, he's going to spring a big play.
Second and 1, they fake the handoff. Sanders keeps it himself, picks up the first down to the 24-yard line. Darius Moraney on the stop for KU.
Now, if I'm Kansas's defense and I'm DJ Elliott, the plays that have worked have been the early down blitzes. It is a little bit of feast or famine in these situations, but I think you need to stay on top of this, minimize the mistake your offense made, and get some guys going downhill.
You can see the patient running style, and there is nowhere to go there. Davon Ferguson, nice tackle behind the line of scrimmage.
Well, Davon Ferguson has really been called into action because of the injury to Jeremiah McCullough, and he's one of these guys that just has gotten better each and every game. Just a sophomore out of Baltimore by way of Hartfield Community College, and you know, he did a nice job of just reading the run, weaving through the traffic, and making a nice stop on a big back.
Sanders the pitch back, looking to throw is Dillon, and that is just a little low. Good thought there. I like the play design. Dylan Stone just not able to keep that ball high enough for Spencer Sanders to make the catch.
Well, and it was Hassan Defense, the Kansas corner, that read it perfectly, chased down Stoner, had him in man-to-man coverage, so he kept continuing with his coverage even though the ball was handed off. You'll see him at the top of the screen just sort of providing that pressure and just having that presence. Dylan Stoner had to put some arc on that football, and it falls short of Spencer Sanders.
So on defense, the best cover corner on this Kansas team. 3rd and 11. This is where the Kansas defense has really struggled this year with this exact issue. Sanders keeping the ball by himself. But KU, great pursuit there by the defense. Kyle Mayberry, one of the men there, as is Bryce Tornado.
Well, just when you thought that maybe there's a crease in there and he's going to pick up a first down and find something, KU's defenders get off the blocks, make him sort of bounce to the outside, and there's just enough white jerseys hustling to the football to stop them on 3rd down.
And we're going to look now at Matt Amendola, one of the better kickers in the nation this year, a semifinalist for the Lou Groza Award. He has made 93% of his field goal attempts. That ranks 4th in the country. And I think I may have jinxed him by talking about all those accolades. A rare miss for Amendola, misses a field goal attempt for just the 2nd time this year as he knocks himself on the head. Still 14-0 Cowboys on top. FS1 College Football is sponsored by Dave & Buster's. Download the new Dave & Buster's Fun app today. So a missed field goal, a rare missed field goal for Oklahoma State as they still lead by 2 touchdowns over Les Miles' Kansas Jayhawks. 1st and 10 on the 28 for Carter Stanley. And they will keep it on the ground here to Puka Williams. Puts his head down, picks up 3.
And really just a credit to Kansas defense for stepping up when your offense creates a turnover on Kansas's minus territory on the other side of the 50, put them in a bad situation, and they stepped up. They stopped the quarterback run game. They stepped up on 3rd down, which the defense hasn't done all year. So good opportunity for them now to give their offense some momentum.
Stanley throws over the middle, diving attempt made by Andrew Parchment. Darius Williams there on defense. Time now for Dave & Buster's Game Break.
That's number 9 Penn State hosting 7-2 Indiana. Nittany Lions have never lost at home to the Hoosiers, and they don't plan on starting now. Sean Clifford, 38-yard touchdown run. Makes it 17-14. Penn State leading, just now entering the 2nd quarter. Back to Ken Ben.
Kansas 1 of 5 on 3rd down so far. 3rd and 7 here. Tremendous defensive play by Williams. Gets his hand there to break up the pass. KU going to be forced to punt once again.
Well, that back-to-back plays for Darius Williams. The play before did a great job of getting his right hand in there to knock the ball away from Parchment. And then on 3rd down again, there was a little bit of pressure. Stanley did a nice job of stepping up in the pocket, tried to deliver a dart, but then once again, Williams is there to knock the ball down.
Kyle Thompson punting for Kansas. Dylan Stoner back to receive for Oklahoma State. Driving punt fielded by Stoner at the 14-yard line. Takes a tackle and then run out of bounds at about the 24. Oklahoma State up by 2 touchdowns. Can they add to that on this drive after the 54-yard punt?
Coming your way on the State Farm halftime, does unbeaten Baylor really have a shot to drop 10th-ranked Oklahoma? And will the rank meeting between Minnesota and Iowa? Reggie thinks the Gophers are a legit playoff contender. Dan, Ben, back to you guys.
All right, thank you very much, Stoner. 14-0, Oklahoma State on top of Kansas. Their 5th drive of the game. 2 touchdowns, both scored by Chuba Hubbard, the leading rusher in the country. And they are content to keep it on the ground once again. And when you have Chuba Hubbard, why not?
Yeah, why not? You saw the sort of the full house diamond backfield again, just to give you a little bit of a wrinkle to this offense, give the defense a little something to think about, figure out where the ball's going to go. But I'll tell you right now, if I was coaching up against this offense and they get that diamond backfield, I'm like, guys, just key where Chuba's going to go. That's where the ball's going to go.
Well, we talked about the fact that running quarterbacks have given this Kansas defense problems so far this year. Spencer Sanders definitely one of those as we see him on the option, working the stiff arm out past the 30-yard line, just shy of the first down before he's tackled by Gavin Potter. Potter, the true freshman from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, on a stop.
Well, and he's been such a bright spot. Again, because of injuries, he's been kind of thrust into it. They didn't expect him to play this much this year, but it said he is all football all the time.
He gets a little help from Davon Ferguson. Kind of had the arm there of Spencer Sanders. Almost a little dance as they forced him out of bounds. 3rd and 1 for the Pokes. Chuba up the middle, and looks like he was stopped just shy. It was Potter again. Get a little help there from Jay Deneen.
Yes, Potter again and Deneen, they did a great job of just seeing it and then making a decision to get downhill. You know it's a short yard situation, so there's no reason to kind of pat your feet, take any false steps. You get the read that you're thinking, you get downhill, and you make the stop. So good linebacking both by Potter and Deneen on that stop.
Standing next to a man here in the booth who knows a thing or two about good linebackers.
Maybe. I knew a lot of them. I can't say that I was one of them.
Hey,
but
buddy, you don't last 10 years in the NFL if you're not a good linebacker. But I'm very impressed with Gavin Potter now. As we see, they are about 6 inches shy of picking up the first down. What do you do here? You roll the dice?
Well, I would think that. Well, before I say anything, I think they're bringing the offense. You see the big boys on the sidelines coming back out to huddle up. So it looks like Mike Gundy's going to take this opportunity and put the faith in his guys up front that they can pick up 6 inches.
From their own 32-yard line, Mike Gundy's troops going to go for it. This would be a huge stand if Kansas can hold them.
He didn't get it.
Spencer Sanders puts his head down, but I don't think he got there. I think you're right, partner. That KU defense just bowed up.
Well, we'll wait to get the official word, but it looks like all the KU players think that they stopped him, and I think they did as well. Can I complain a little bit from a defensive-minded person?
Talk to me.
Why is it they extend these plays? And again, it is confirmed that they did pick up the first down. I think that's a very generous spot, but why do they keep these plays going for so long? They allow these guys, they allow the running backs and the big bodies behind us to keep pushing when for a good second and a half, his forward progress was stopped. Right. That should be the dead play.
You want the whistle blown.
Absolutely.
Says the defensive guy. I get it. I understand. Quick swing pass going nowhere. Tremendous play. Mike Lee, this guy is a ferocious hitter and a 4-year starter in this Kansas secondary.
He's so fun to watch on film. Number 11 come on the left side of your screen, fights off a double team, 2 blockers out there. He splits the difference and gets downhill, makes the play. He brings the energy every time he plays.
And here's Chuba breaking tackles. Very close to the first down, a yard or two shy, picks up 11 for Oklahoma State.
Again, they just have this ability in the run game to just pick up small chunks of yardage and put himself in third manageable.
3rd and 3. Sanders going to keep it himself. Out past the 40. Gavin Potter on the tackle. He's going to be shy first down.
Well, Potter knew in that situation, you get 4 receivers out to the left. Let those guys handle it. You're the middle linebacker. What are you responsible for? The A and B gaps. So he doesn't care that there's four receivers in diamond position out to his right. He knows he's got to key that quarterback. He comes downhill and makes a play. And maybe this is the opportunity to say what Mick Eckler, his linebacker coach, says about him, 100% pure meathead.
And that not a great kick again. So right around the 26-yard line is where this Kansas offense is going to take over right after this. A 33-yard kick. Sure.
Yeah.
Back in Stillwater, just talked to our rules expert Dean Blandino during the break, and he concurred with us. Looked like Kansas held him on that 4th down play, maybe a generous spot, but that's neither here nor there at this point as KU gets the ball back. In terms of total yards, Oklahoma State absolutely dominant, just 52 for Kansas, and this is definitely going to add to their totals a little bit here. Puka Williams shoved out of bounds by Eamon Ogbongbemiga.
Well, and you see exactly why a guy like Puka is so dangerous. You see him bottle up in the inside there. The play was designed to go just off tackle behind his fullback, but he's got that crazy ability to put his feet in the ground and just hit the perimeter and use that speed and quickness to pick up positive yardage.
They give him the first down there. He was bottled up in the Sunflower Showdown against Kansas State. They need him to get loose. That pass complete to Andrew Parchment.
Well, they not only need to get him loose, but they also have to sort of unleash Carter Stanley, I think, in this game. He's had a few good throws down the middle of the field. He's missed on some outside throws. That was a nice, strong throw across the field, but they've got to get him in more of a rhythm and get some confidence throwing the ball down the field.
Puka breaks 2 tackles, make that 3. And one more before he takes it to the 44-yard line. The corner, A.J. Green on the tackle. Back to L.A. for a Dave and Buster's game break.
Gentlemen, number 5, Alabama coming off a loss, of course, to LSU and taking out their frustrations on Mississippi State. Tua Tagovailoa to Jalen Waddle, 35-yard touchdown, second TD toss of the day for Tua. It's 28-7, tied rolling in the second quarter.
Well, not a big surprise there. Stanley, nothing going. Looked like a miscommunication. Flags flying. Rodarius Williams.
I think they're going to flag Rodarius Williams. It was a switch route, exchange route, where 2 players sort of crisscross each other. And Rodarius, I think, held up the receiver trying to get out to the flat.
Pass interference. Offense, number 5.
They're going to call it on offense.
Result of the play is 4th down.
Stephon Robinson.
So it wasn't that he held up the receiver, it's just the receivers picked him. You'll see the exchange and the crisscross in which I'm talking about. And you see Robinson, he's going to intentionally shield his body away from or into Rodarius Williams to spring his partner free. You can see Carter saying, when you run that play, you got to play it. You got to fake it better.
Don't make it so obvious.
Yeah.
Stoner back deep to receive the Kyle Thompson punt once again. And he waves everybody off. So here comes Oklahoma State. Been 14-0 for a long time. Trying to get back on the board once again. Coming up next on FS1, number 19, Texas taking on Iowa State. Over on Fox, number 8, Minnesota, looking to continue their storybook season as they take on 20th ranked Iowa, followed by a primetime Pac-12 showdown between UCLA and 7th ranked Utah. You see that Minnesota team quite often where you live?
Where I live in the Twin Cities, and I think that team is for real. Better watch out, Iowa.
Well, Chuba Hubbard certainly for real. Tries to keep his feet. And the tackle's made, not willing to let him go as Hassan defense.
Well, the other game that you mentioned, the Texas-Iowa State game, Texas, you know, they have 2 losses in the Big 12, but they're not out of it. They are not out of it at all. The Baylor-Oklahoma game today.
Sanders to throw, looking deep down the middle. Dylan Stoner, touchdown Cowboys!
Well, Stoner has been the guy, again, that we talk about with Tylan Wallace being out with that ACL injury that happened a couple weeks ago in practice. Dylan Stoner takes over that Z position, and Z meaning the receiver to the far right of the offense, which is where Tylan was. It gets a lot of plays down the field, and he says, I want to be that guy. I will step up for this team and be that guy. These last 2 weeks, that's what Dylan Stoner, you've been that guy.
What a pretty throw by Spencer Sanders. Extra point up, and the extra point is good. Last week against TCU, 3 catches, 93 yards, and 2 touchdowns in his first game, filling in for Tylan Wallace. The game actually 2 weeks ago because they had an off week last week. And here he is again on a touchdown pass. Hey, this is a look at him last week. He's a really, really solid receiver who can line up anywhere on the field and really do anything the coach asks.
Really smart. I mean, he's been in the system for a long time, and he knows all the positions. Now he just needs to understand the nuance of playing the Z position on a more consistent basis. But we asked the coaches about him, like, we have all the faith in this guy. Like, you know, maybe he certainly doesn't have the dynamic ability that Wallace did, and who really does in this roster. But he does everything right. He runs really crisp routes. You know, maybe not the blazing speed, but he can break tackles. He's got great hands, and he's got the mental acumen and the attitude to want to be the guy and step up for his team.
Jake McClure, the kickoff specialist for Oklahoma State. Kicking it in and out of the end zone. Yet DJ Elliott, the defensive coordinator for Kansas, talking about Stoner, said, just reiterating your point, listen, he's not the speed merchant that some guys are, but he can literally beat you on any route on the route tree.
Well, and I think that you saw it on this last play, that if you give him a little bit of space, he has the football speed. He has Saturday speed, and that's what people want, and that's what coaches care about. Maybe his 40 time is not exactly what Tylan Wallace's is, but he puts some pads on, he gains a little separation off the line of scrimmage, and he can still pull away and put his body in a position where the quarterback can find him open.
Well, you see that Saturday speed and that Sunday speed all around the country in college and in the NFL. Some reason when guys get those pads on, they just can't be caught. Timeout call down there on the field. The one name that always comes to mind when you talk about speed, Gary Rice. Wasn't the fastest guy, but nobody was able to catch him.
When you think about his training regimens, you know, he was always running hills. He was always doing stuff with parachutes. He was always kind of putting his body in a situation where he's kind of getting pulled back and face adversity. Well, when you put the pads on and you've got guys in front of you, you got to fight off defenders. That's kind of the mentality that you have to have. It's like, if you're a track star, you want to practice running into the wind. Because it just makes you train differently, makes you think differently. And Stoner's one of those guys. That's Saturday speed.
Keeping on the ground to Gardner, and he's bottled up by this Kansas defense. Trace Ford, first man there. Very impressive freshman is Trace Ford. Back to LA now for a Dave & Buster's game break. Sam Farber, take it away.
Over on Fox, guys, number 15, Michigan has evened things up with Michigan State. Hassan Haskins, 1-yard touchdown. Tied at 7 now in the second quarter. Michigan trying to defeat State in Ann Arbor for the first time since 2012. Back to Dan and Ben.
Thank you, Sam. Second and 10 from the 25. Stanley to keep this himself. And he might have picked up a yard. Israel Antoine there to keep him from picking up much more. Been called a stalwart by his coach. He's just very consistent Big fella, just hard to move there. It was a Colorado transfer, started all 11 games in Colorado as a true freshman.
Well, and for a defense line that's looking to find some leadership and some playmakers, they've been really happy to have Antoine come in from Colorado. He started 11 games last year. Colorado comes here to Oklahoma State, has been making plays for the Cowboys as well.
Stanley on third down has his man complete to Robinson. First down KU. Jarek Bernard on the stop after the 12-yard pickup.
Boy, when they get time to throw with Carter Stanley, and those routes are able to develop over the middle of the field, he has been spot on today, not only just with his accuracy, but putting enough touch and velocity on the ball as well.
Stanley throws again, swings it out quickly to Robinson. Robinson breaks a tackle down to the 49-yard line.
And Robinson's one of these guys that's really stepped up in the last 4 games, 111 yards per game. He's got 6 total touchdowns in those 4 games. So you're seeing a little bit of a compliment to his routes. He's running the inside routes to the middle field, and also he can be the guy on the outside showing off some of that speed.
Second leading receiver for this KU team this season. Parchman and Robinson, just the 4th pair of KU receivers to have at least 6 touchdowns apiece as Stanley scrambles for the first down. So this KU offense starting to find that rhythm that we talked with Brent Dearman about now in the second quarter final.
Well, and Ogbongbemiga has to be very careful in that situation. You saw at the end of the play, number 11 just come flying over the top of Carter Stanley. He's got to be smarter about those situations, because when the quarterback's running, they look for those targeting type of plays. And the way he flew over the top, he was lucky to not connect Carter Stanley.
Ogbongbemiga, one of the best players on this defense. Stanley picked off at the 48-yard line. The second interception of the game for this Oklahoma State defense. Coming up big, Colby Harvell Peel, as he has all season long.
Well, and that's not on Kwame Lassiter at all. That's the intended receiver for Kansas. And as Carter's just trying to find somebody, he's got a defender at his feet, couldn't set his feet. And a lot of times you talk about quarterbacks that maybe don't have the pure arm talent. They need to have that good base to deliver the accurate football. And you see Lassiter coming across the field. The ball's thrown behind. Talk about his defenders all the time, tips, overthrows. The most opportune times to get interceptions, and there's Colby Harvell Peel with another interception for this defense.
It was Jernigan on the pressure, maybe forcing him to throw a little quicker than he wanted to. Sanders being pressured himself right here, and he just gets rid of that one. Smart move by freshman.
Well, he was in a situation there where you could almost see him think about, do I throw across the field on this one? No. Smart decision there by the redshirt freshman not to throw across the field. Get that ball out of bounds and live to play another down.
Oklahoma State winning the turnover battle since 2008. They are 60-6 when winning the turnover battle. They are +2 today with 2 interceptions. Faking the handoff to Chuba. And passing it quickly outside to Landon Wolf, forced out of bounds by Mike Lee. Coming up on the State Farm Halftime Show, it's Rob Stone and the guys previewing the Big 12 battle tonight between Oklahoma and Baylor. And is Minnesota really a contender? Those conversations coming up on the State Farm Halftime Report. 3rd and 1. And Chuba picks his way through that Jayhawk defense for the first down.
Well, I'll take a crack at answering that question. Is Minnesota a contender? Not yet. Not yet. I think they should have been higher than 8, but see what they do in the next few games here with Iowa, Wisconsin today and a couple weeks from now.
Room for Chuba Hubbard, puts the ball on the ground, and luckily for Oklahoma State, it bounces out of bounds. Davon Ferguson just frustrated because he knew they had a shot at getting that ball, but it went out of bounds quickly.
Well, sometimes, you know, things are just going to go your way. Defensively, they pick the ball off twice, and then you get a ball that comes jarring loose that just sort of just slipped out of his hands. Takes a fortunate bounce for Oklahoma State, and that bounces out of bounds, so sometimes things just go your way.
L.D. Brown checking in the game for Hubbard. And we have a meeting of the minds here. Whistles blowing.
Potentially a missed spot on the fumble. They want to stop the play and get that corrected.
Want to get it right. I swear, these officials, I don't know what kind of workout routine they're on. They're getting bigger and bigger every year.
They're getting pretty buff, aren't they?
With the forward fumble out of bounds, the ball by rule is brought back to the side of the fumble. We need to reset the chains to where they were.
Let's take a look at what they're talking about here. That was Brandon Cruz as we take another look.
Well, it's another chance actually to see how he fumbled there. Mike Lee's helmet just sort of grazed the football, and then see the ball go out of bounds.
So they're figuring out the situation on the spot. Chuba now has 1,691 rushing yards this season. That's the 5th best total in Oklahoma State history. Barry Sanders, the all-time leader, almost 3,000 yards, 2,850 yards in 1990 or 1988 rather. So Chuba likely going to move into second place on the all-time single-season rushing list at Oklahoma State when it's all said and done this season. Probably not going to overcome Barry Sanders totally.
No, but obviously nice to be in that same conversation
Absolutely.
with Barry Sanders.
Barry Sanders considered by some the best college football player in history. So to be spoken about in the same breath as Barry Sanders, certainly quite an accomplishment for Chuba Hubbard. We asked Mike Gundy a comp for Chuba, and he said, no, I used to say Thurman Thomas, but he's obviously faster than Thurman Thomas, another great here in Stillwater. Timeout. Oklahoma State is Chuba's taking a break, relieved by L.D. Brown in the backfield. L.D. Brown, one of the fastest players on the team, as is Chuba, and they're often having 40-yard dashes with Braden Johnson, the three of those guys. So they'll all race each other after practice, and as I understand it, the same guy doesn't win every time.
No, I mean, it's nice to have those weapons. And Oklahoma State always seems to find these track athletes and these straight line speed guys. They say Braden Johnson's more of a, all right, if it's a 200-meter race, he's probably going to be the one that's going to win it. LD is probably the quickest to accelerate, so he's probably more of like your 60-yard dash indoor type of guy. And then Chuba, I think, has that track speed, that pure 100-meter dash sort of gets out the gates and then builds up his speed as he goes along. But there's a lot of fast players on this Oklahoma State offense.
Speed kills, and certainly it has treated Oklahoma State well this year, coming in ranked 22nd in the country, and they're going to keep it on the ground again here with L.D. Brown. But Gavin Potter there to make the stop.
Well, once again here, you know, you got to look at, I know that the score maybe doesn't reflect how well this KU defense has been playing at times, but two different situations now where their offense has turned the ball over on minus territory for KU, and their defense has stepped up. You know, when you have sudden change, that's the hardest time for a defense to come in. They're sitting on the bench, and all of a sudden, turnover, they got to go out there, hurry up, and then these guys are getting the necessary stops.
This guy may not be a leader of the defense, number 19, just yet, but he will be shortly. The true freshman Gavin Potter on signing day. Check this out. He's wearing a K-State hoodie. He had verbally committed to them, so he takes the hoodie off, and you know, his mom's there, his dad's there, and he has his Texas Tech t-shirt. He said, oh, all right. Fool me once, fool me twice. Oh, he's going to KU. You have to have a certain level of confidence as a young man to pull that off on signing day. And let me tell you something, Gavin Potter is going to be a good one. A 44-yard field goal attempt here for Matt Amendola, and Oklahoma State. He misses his first and makes his second. He is one of the best kickers in the country, and you can see why right there. Telling me before the game he feels good up to 55 yards out.
Well, yeah, we saw him before the game, and he was just drilling those things. It looked like every time he could be good from 65 yards out.
Talked about Les Miles and his return here to Stillwater before the game. Everybody remembers his head coaching career at LSU, but his head coaching career started here in Stillwater, where he did a tremendous job resurrecting this program. And then he leaves. He goes to LSU from 2005 to 2016, wins the national championship, had a year or so off, and now he's the new head man at Kansas after signing that 5-year contract. And they have full faith that he's going to be able to resurrect this Kansas football program very much in the same way that he did at Oklahoma State when he replaced Bob Simmons, who had just one win season in 6 years. And that return out to the 15-yard line. Good special teams play by Oklahoma State.
Well, and everybody we talk to within the Kansas organization says, you know, he just brings that energy. You know, you see the still photos there of him with that big smile. They're like, he still has the charisma. He still has the energy. He brings it every day in practice. And they said that there's a genuine care that he has. When he's walking down the hallway and he asks how you're doing, he actually stops and will ask you truly, how are you doing? You know, not just one of those like, hey, how you doing? It's like, hey, how are you doing?
You can tell when somebody means it.
How are you doing?
Yeah. Stanley to throw on first down, and that one's thrown out of bounds. To your point, we're on the field talking to Les Miles before the game. He sees one of dozens of people that he knew here during his time at Oklahoma State. You know, we're giving him his space. He walks over before he goes in the locker room to say, hey, sorry, guys, I just had to say hi to a few people. Coach, it's okay. We know you know a few people here in Stillwater.
Yeah, that surprised me that he came across the field just to say, like, hey, guys, sorry, didn't mean to walk away from you. Just want to say good to see you again. And you know, for me, nice to meet me for the first time. He's the second time he's seen you, but that's rare for a head coach to have that sort of awareness that you walked away from a conversation 10 minutes ago. He comes back just to kind of close that loop.
He's coming into a Kansas program that has really struggled to put up wins. They haven't had more than 4 wins since 2009, and they believe that he's the guy that can get them back into contention. You see the numbers there. He had a remarkable run at LSU, winning a national championship, and they're just hoping for positive things here. And so far, he's had a positive impact for Kansas. Not much going there for Carter Stanley. You can feel just they're kind of rededicated now to the football program. Kansas, obviously known for their great basketball tradition. There's no reason that there can't be a comfortable marriage between football and basketball. We see it at a lot of big-time schools, and perhaps that can be the case at Kansas.
Yeah, that always sort of baffles me that one school is known as a football school or a basketball school, and it's like, well, why can't you put the resources into both? You know, why can't you just actually care about both of them in that same breath? You know, you look at what he's done already from a recruiting standpoint and just the soft commits, the verbal commits they have right now. A lot of 3-star guys. I saw 1 or 2 4-star guys. So that already, just his name alone and his energy already, I think, is bringing in a pretty good recruiting class to Lawrence, Kansas.
Well, they won at Boston College. It was the first road win against a Power 5 opponent in more than a decade. And I was there when they beat Texas Tech, just their 7th conference win in 11 years. And that was in Lawrence. They flooded the field. That was the signature moment, I believe, for Les Miles and the program so far this year. They find themselves down 24-0 with 34 seconds to go in the half. That's their 5th punt of the half. Goes for 46 yards. So they have their work cut out for them today. You know, and the biggest win so far here, right, I guess at Kansas was Texas Tech. But when he started at Oklahoma State, their biggest win back in 2001 was against the defending national champions. They beat the Sooners. It was a remarkable upset. And this was the game Mike Gundy told us they kind of had them heading in the right direction. Players really starting to think that, yes, we can do this.
This team believes they're a good football team. They finally got an opportunity to show somebody else. You got to see you later. I'm going to see these guys.
A young Les Miles back in the day at Oklahoma State, here in Stillwater from 2001 to 2005. It was a little bit messy when he left for LSU. They were somewhat surprised, but I think that he still has a good relationship with a lot of people involved with the Oklahoma State program, so that he actually had a chance to chat with Boone Pickens before he passed. Of course, the namesake of this stadium and one of the greatest Oklahoma State ambassadors of all time, as we see Chuba Hubbard breaking a slew of tackles as he takes it down to the 45-yard line, seeing a little bit of everything from this Canadian running back in that 18-yard run.
Well, that was a play that they were just trying to get them to halftime. And now they have to change their personality because of such a big run. They took a shot down the field on the first play, incomplete. They just do a quick little draw play, just sort of an innocent little play. We'll see what we can get here, but because you have a guy like Chuba Hubbard that can make something out of nothing, all of a sudden now you cross the 50, you get to about the 45-yard line of Kansas' defense, you spike the ball now you have a chance again before you go to halftime to put some more points on the board.
You would also have a chance for another 200-yard game from Chuba Hubbard. For the 8th straight game, he has rushed for over 100 yards. He has done that in 12 of his 14 career games. So over 100 yards before halftime. They swing it out to Stoner. Stoner has some room down to the 30-yard line, then out of bounds with 6 seconds left on the clock.
Well, what a smart play, because Kansas defense is playing for the Hail Mary pass down the field. So they have everybody towards the end zone. The corners are pulled all the way back. So if you're going to give them that much space, well, let's just pick up enough yardage so we can get Amendola out for a field goal.
Dylan Stoner now with 4 catches for 107 yards in the game. So a pretty solid first half for Stoner as well. It's going to be a 48-yard attempt for Amendola. Kansas takes their last time out of the half here as we look at Mike Gundy.
Well, Kansas clearly is going to try to set up what they think is going to be the best opportunity to block this 48-yard field goal attempt. Usually you think of something coming off the wide side of the field as this ball's on the right hash, but maybe they've got something else up their sleeve. It's going to be driven a little bit lower, most likely, so maybe they have an opportunity to get somebody up in the middle of this special teams play, see if they can't stop this field goal and stop the Oklahoma State Cowboys from putting points on the board before half.
You can see atop the goalpost, the flags are relatively quiet. Amendola told me before the game this is very uncharacteristic for a Saturday in Stillwater. He said the wind is not swirling like it usually is, so good conditions for the kickers here at Boone Pickens Stadium. 48 yards out is the kick, and it has distance, but it is no good. So the second missed kick of the game for Matt Amendola. About the only thing that hasn't gone right for Oklahoma. They are 24-2, Oklahoma State is, when they are leading at the half since 2016. So a good start for the Cowboys here in Stillwater. Checking in with Rob Stone and the guys in the studio after the break. So not the way that Les Miles had envisioned his homecoming here in Stillwater going in the first half. Oklahoma State on top of Kansas, 24-0. 2 of the best running backs in the country and perhaps the 2 best in the Big 12. Chuba Hubbard with 121 total yards. Still trying to get Puka Williams going as this Kansas offense.
Well, and now I think because you're behind the 8 ball so much when it comes to the score, I think Kansas is going to have to get away from trying to showcase Puka and try to get Carter Stanley to throw the ball down the field a little bit more and get some big plays and get back in this football game. But Oklahoma State's defense has done a great job of being patient, cutting off any sort of running lanes on the inside, and then the plays where Puka wants to bounce to the outside, guys are getting off blocks, chasing him down, and minimizing such a dynamic player.
And we know turnovers can be killers. Carter Stanley with an interception. His backup quarterback, Thomas McVitie, checks into the ball game. They had a little bit of a trick play. McVitie forced a throw, so there was a pick there as well. So as a team, KU's thrown 2 interceptions so far in the first half.
Yeah, I understand that you're going to try to, throw a new wrinkle in there with sort of the trick play and the gadget play. The first read wasn't there, so no need to force anything down the field. But again, Kansas's defense has stepped up with that sudden change situations. Both of those plays and both of those interceptions for Oklahoma State do not amount to any points. So that's a bonus and that's a plus for Les Miles and his defense.
Look there at Les Miles. Prior to taking over at LSU, was here in Stillwater from 2001 to 2005. It's the first time coaching a game here in Stillwater in almost 15 years. It's also the first time that a former Oklahoma State head coach has come back as a visiting head coach. So a lot of first hill here in Stillwater for Les Miles. He's hoping to make a game of it here in the second half. And Oklahoma State going to be getting the ball first as they won the toss and chose to defer. And that is going to be fielded by Braden Johnson, who takes it out to the 25, maybe the 26-yard line for Oklahoma State. And we're going to get another look at this freshman quarterback, Spencer Sanders, who has been getting better seemingly every game. He's already the all-time passing leader for an Oklahoma State freshman. And he's had 2 100-yard rushing games on the ground. We've seen what he can do through the air. That was a picture-perfect pass for the 51-yard touchdown to Dylan Stoner. Doing a little bit of everything for this Oklahoma State team. And here's Chuba again out to the 30-yard line. And if you're Oklahoma State, and it's not the NFL, so you don't worry about as much about the wear and tear, playing 16 regular season games and, going into the playoffs. But if you're up by, 30 points, at some point you just hold the plug on Chuba and say, let's take the rest of the game off.
I think they should probably do that. That is an opportunity. Now you got to keep in mind with the redshirt rule, you might start seeing some freshmen just get in there and get some game action, knowing that they could have a 2 or 3 before games to play in season and keep their redshirt status. So that's also a thing you have to keep in mind. So not only are you taking, some wear and tear and some mileage off of not just Chuba, but all of your starters, but you also get the benefit of using some of your young players to get some real game experience.
Look at the numbers there for Chuba. 19 carries, 112 yards, averaging almost 6 yards per. They flick the handoff to Chuba this time, throw it out to Landon Wolf, and Wolf crossed the 50-yard line before Mike Lee knocks him out of bounds.
Well, and you see just on that play why Wolf was so wide open, because a safety like Mike Lee, who's so aggressive and wants to come down in the run game, his focus is on being more of an in-box defender to try to stop Chuba. So on that particular play, they give Wolf some space. And it takes a long time for Mike Lee to get out there and make a play because, again, it's a small play fake on the inside. And look, there's 5-6 yards of space to catch that football and get upfield.
Injury timeout on the field right now. Najee Stevens-McKenzie, outside linebacker for Kansas, currently down on the field right now, being tended to by the Kansas medical staff. Kansas defense trying to hold these Cowboys in check. We're back after this. Very cool moment just a minute ago during the break. Mike Gundy coming out to shake hands with a local military veteran who was being honored during the break. We talked about the Oklahoma State uniforms, the military theme, honoring our military. They're being auctioned off after the game to a local charity, Folds of Honor, a foundation that was created by Stillwater native Lieutenant Colonel Dean Rooney, provides educational scholarships. And that is not going anywhere. Right there, Jay Deneen on the tackle. But just a cool moment. You don't see that very often in the middle of the game, the head coach coming out to shake hands.
No, I mean, normally, during timeouts, like the coaches, the coordinators are all huddled up trying to figure out during the timeout what adjustments need to be made. And so cool for Gundy to go over and take that time to recognize the Master Sergeant that was getting recognized on the field. And obviously, military is a big thing for him.
Sanders with time again, this time looking deep. It was the speedy Braden Johnson who had his step on Hassan defense. And there, John, a little bit going back to the huddle.
Yeah, they had a nice little hand fight there at the line of scrimmage as they were locked up with each other. And Braden Johnson just beat him across the face. He knew that he had to get to the middle of the field, and it was a little bit of fight to get there. Didn't get a chance to get on his horse and show off that speed that we talked about, but you did see at the end of the play a little jaw-jacking, a little trash-talking. That's what happens with these wide receivers and corners is they battle pretty much every play.
Linebackers would never do that. Never. Sanders throwing again, and tucks it, gets back to the line of scrimmage at about the 50-yard line before he's taken down by Caleb Simpson. Maybe the most potential on this D-line for Kansas. Sophomore from St. Rose, Louisiana.
Well, he does a nice job of just retracing, understands he's not going to get to the quarterback on a pass rush, so gets off the block, gets down the field, and you know, a guy that started the last 3 games, he's certainly a guy that they are feeling like they can trust now on the defensive front.
Kenny Logan, Stephon Robinson, deep, fielded at the 5-yard line, and good coverage on Kenny Logan by the Oklahoma State punt return unit after the 44-yard punt. And talking about Mike Gundy going out there on the field, look at his resume, his 15th season here. He was hired back in 2005. He had a losing year that first year. He replaced Les Miles, and now he's going for his 14th straight winning season. What a run it has been for the former Oklahoma State quarterback here at his alma mater.
Well, the thing I like, if I'm a high school recruit and I see that the coach has been there for 15 years and that he's an alumni and he played here, you know that this guy's going to be here. There's going to be stability and obviously a lot of success with what he's built.
KU keeping on the ground here with Puka, but there is nowhere to go for Puka Williams. He is wrapped up by Malcolm Rodriguez, one of the leading tacklers in the Big 12, ranks 3rd in the conference, averaging about 8 tackles per game. Quarterback in high school.
Quarterback and one of these guys, especially from around these parts, that wrestling's such a big thing culturally in Oklahoma. He's one of those standout wrestlers in high school as well, and I think that just breeds a certain tenacity with some of these guys, and certain coaches look for that trait.
2nd 11 for Carter Stanley, trying to buy time in his own end zone, gets down, and he's taken down at the 4-yard line. Trey Sterling, the Oklahoma State safety, gets to him.
Well, we didn't know if that we're going to see Trey Sterling in this game. He was banged up against TCU. They had the off week. Weren't for sure we're going to see him play, but you see him come flashing in the middle of the screen on a safety blitz. He's off the block from Puka Williams and redirects and gets Carter Stanley on the ground. But he's a 3-sport athlete in high school. He's a guy that comes downhill and makes a lot of plays. Very physical player coming from that safety position.
Had that game-clinching interception against Iowa State. Maybe their leader of the secondary, redshirt sophomore who is getting better and better by the day. Flags down here.
The defense isn't afforded an opportunity to match up half the distance to the goal. It's 3rd down.
Well, kind of bizarre there as we saw an Oklahoma State player just jogging off, and I just thought there for a second they should just snap the ball, but they held on to it. The referees have to allow the defense to adjust and switch out personnel when your offense is going to do the same thing. So ill-advised, bad timing offensively for KU.
Manny Miles, Les' son, in at quarterback here. He was the only Kansas player to score a touchdown against Kansas State in their last game. He hands off, and they get out to about the 7-yard line. Does Velton Gardner, Harville Peel on the stop.
A pretty wise decision to bring him in and then not throw the football as you're backed up against your own end zone. A lot of pressure being applied to Carter Stanley when he's been in the game. So just try to hand the ball off, see if you can get a little bit of breathing room here for the punt.
Manny Miles talking it over with his father. Stoner back deep to receive for the Pokes. Takes it at the 46-yard line, and he is wrapped up right away. Nowhere to go after the nice tackle coming in by Deontay Ford. We're back after this. FS1 College Football sponsored by Credit One Bank, the official credit card of the Big 12 Conference. Back in Stillwater. Cowboys have the ball here. 1st and 10 at the 45. Sanders to throw. Quick pass complete to Jordan McCray. McCray's first catch of the game. Going to go for a couple. Mike Lee there right away. All right, let's check with Los Angeles. Game break time. Dave and Buster's game break, that is. A little information on Alabama's quarterback. What do you have?
Yeah, guys, it's not good news. Alabama visiting Mississippi State. Tua Tagovailoa on this hit, injured. He had to be carted off the field. Now, he's just 4 weeks removed from ankle surgery, although preliminary reports are the injury is unrelated. Regardless, Tua Tagovailoa carted off the field.
So not good news for Alabama as Tua carted off the field.
Well, and it sounds like they said it's not related to that ankle injury, which he had several weeks ago, which is kind of an extensive ankle surgery that he had. So obviously unfortunate news, and that changes the whole landscape of what Alabama's got to deal with the rest of the season.
Sanders looking for Stoner, but he was out of bounds for about the last 15 yards of that route. I don't think it mattered whether he caught it or not.
I'm not sure where he was throwing that. Stoner, like you said, he was out of bounds for quite a long time. He didn't even try to throw the ball back in bounds. He just threw the ball where he was going, tracking down the black stripe of the sideline.
Yeah, I don't know if he got pushed out of bounds, but it looks like that Stoner. This is look at a run by Spencer Sanders a little bit earlier, but Stoner's been having problems on the sideline. He ran into the wall earlier in the game, and here runs half his route down the sideline after, I'm assuming that he got shoved out of bounds there. Fair catch made there after the 36-yard punt by Kenny Logan, 20-0. Oklahoma State on top here in Stillwater. FS1 College Football is sponsored by Dave & Buster's. Download the new Dave & Buster's Fun app today. Kansas with a football. First time in 3 drives they have started beyond their own 10-yard line, so this is their best field position in a while. Keeping on the ground here. And Puka out past the 20.
Got a little Puka Wildcat. Saw Les Miles' son come in for a snap. Now the next following snap, you get Puka in the Wildcat. You got to try to find something to spark this offense.
Well, Puka is sometimes like throwing gasoline on a fire, man. That guy can be a spark plug. 2nd and 3 here. Perhaps he's just what the doctor ordered for Kansas. Tries to spin out of a tackle, but Oklahoma State's defense having none of it.
None of it at all. And the guys up front for Oklahoma State's defense, the defensive line has done a fantastic job of just closing off any sort of creases, because that's the one thing. You can stay in your gap, but the way Puka runs, and he's kind of small and he's wiry, he can get through those tight spaces. So you have to be really diligent, disciplined up front. But those guys on the edges of the perimeter of this defense and the second level have come in and stopped them as well.
Both teams just 2 of 9 on 3rd downs. And 3rd down pass complete. Trying to pick his way to the 1st down. Not able to get there. This Oklahoma State defense steps up again. Kwame Lassiter just fighting for yardage, but great pursuit by OSU. And you can see that Rodarius Williams, who's been very active today.
Well, you just see the tenacity. You see Trey Sterling take a shot. He misses. But what happens is every time that the ball carrier seems like he's going to get someplace, there's another defender there that makes him stop his feet. And then once they stop their feet, the rest of the guys come and make the tackle. So the pack mentality is working for Oklahoma State.
Punt bounces down to around the 30-yard line. Great speed on every level of this OSU defense. Pitching a shutout so far against the Jayhawks. 61. World heavyweight champion Deontay Wilder facing challenger Luis Ortiz in a rematch of their incredible first fight. Plus, Leo Santa Cruz facing Miguel Flores for the super featherweight world title next Saturday at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, live on pay-per-view or order on the Fox Sports app. Definitely looking forward to that one. And in case you were wondering, we are already seeing some substitutions here. And you can see that Spencer Sanders kind of took a hit, was grabbing his hand trying to flex it out, so he may have taken a hit to the thumb.
Well, the whole second half, you'll take a look again. He's got the right hand already sort of bandaged up, trying to protect that thumb. Takes a hit and shakes it out. So that's probably the reason we're watching Drew Brown right now coming in place of Spencer Sanders.
And this is Chuba doing what Chuba does. Another first down for Oklahoma State.
Well, and the reason that we are suspecting it's that thumb injury is the reason why Drew Brown's in there is because if Chuba's still in the game,
you're not replacing starters.
Yeah, you're not just taking the starters out. I mean, if your starting quarterback's going to come out because you just want to give him a break, well, Chuba's got to count too.
Drew Brown, the senior from San Mateo. Went to San Mateo Junior College and then Hawaii. And now here at Oklahoma State. And there you can see Chuba falling forward after contact, about a yard and a half shy of the first down. Kenny Logan on the tackle.
The thing I like to watch about Chuba, too, when he runs between the tackles like that is the subtle movements that he makes just to change his body angle. They're not hard, ferocious cuts. They're just small little movements with his feet to kind of get him away from the defenders. It maybe takes from a clean hit from a defender into more of an arm tackle in which he's going to break every time.
Here's Chuba again, spin move, and picks up the first down, or very close to picking up the first down. Jay Deneen may have stopped him just short. Let's see where they spot the ball. Yep, looks like it's going to be just short here. You know, it's an interesting story with Chuba coming out of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Went to Sherwood Park High School there. Was a track star. Nearly world-class speed they talk about with Chuba in terms of how he ended up here. The story continued after his play on 3rd and inches. And they do indeed pick up the first down. So the coaches see his tape. They just weren't sure about the level of competition because when you look at the numbers in high school for Chuba, it's insane. He had almost 7,000 rushing yards in 3 years and averaged 15 yards per carry. So the level of competition, durability for Mike Gundy was the main question mark that he had about Chuba. I think he's proven that he's going to be okay.
Well, and I do think that question mark was real because, you know, American football, deep shot by Brown.
Stoner, Oklahoma State, touchdown. 43-yard score for Dylan Stoner. He already had a 51-yard touchdown catch. Here's another look.
Well, again, the whole defense thinking that the time of the game is, all right, you're going to see a lot of Chuba, a lot of running game. So you get the corner to look inside just for a hot second. That's all he needs. Stoner, great call offensively by Sean Gleason to get more of a vertical route in that situation. Down the sidelines, and Drew Brown delivers a dart.
The third touchdown pass of the season for Drew Brown. And that was a pretty throw.
Well, just take a look at the backup quarterback off the little play fake. Put enough air on that, and look how he hits him in stride. You know, they know how to develop quarterbacks here at Oklahoma State, and again, it's the 22 games started at Hawaii. Of course, Hawaii, they know how to throw the ball around at that program, so he comes in here as a transfer, and he comes out against Kansas and throws another downfield shot to Dylan Stoner, who's had just an absolute fantastic game.
Dylan Stoner, 150 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. There is no doubt the Cowboys miss the injured Tylan Wallace, one of the best receivers in America. Tore an ACL in practice a couple of weeks ago. Just so disheartening for this entire team. Stoner says right away, I want to be the guy. I'll move over to that Z receiver position, and he has stepped in nicely. A couple of touchdowns in the last game against TCU, and 150 yards to go along with 2 touchdowns today. So 4 touchdown catches for Stoner since replacing the uber-talented Tylan Wallace.
Well, you know, it's one thing, you see it a lot where a guy goes down and a player steps up and says, hey guys, I want to be that guy. But it's also another thing, not only just to take on that role mentally, but also now you have to go out and produce. Now you have to go out, change positions, earn the trust of your coaches, get the time down of your quarterbacks, and then go out there and produce. And he's been just phenomenal these last couple of weeks.
Robinson on the return out to the 25-yard line. Yeah, he's been great. And we could be seeing him on Sundays, the type of receiver, 6 feet, almost 200 pounds, versatile, move all over the place.
Well, you know, I think for him, it's just going to be, you know, kind of what, you know, I know that we're really kind of getting over our skis here a little bit with him in the next level, but, you know, what's he going to be? Is he a true, you know, X, or is he a receiver on the far sides of the field, or is he going to be a slot guy? And if he's a slot guy, given his speed or given his size, does he have the quickness to gain that separation? And, you know, he's still got a lot more developing to go here, but he's got a bright future here at Oklahoma State.
Stanley to throw, looking up the left sideline. Got one hand on it, did Dalen Charlotte, but unable to pull it in. Have a quick game break.
The game. Guys, number 9 Penn State pulling away from Indiana. Jerry Brown pulling away from the Hoosiers defense on this 35-yard score. Makes it 27-14 Penn State. The line's largest lead of the game. By the way, Penn State at number 2 Ohio State next week's big noon game on Fox.
All right, thank you very much. Manny Miles in at quarterback, swings it out to Robinson. Out past the 30-yard line, gains 5.
Well, and going back to that game break, you know, Penn State obviously off the loss to Minnesota. They need to come out and prove themselves that they did belong at number 4 where they were a week and a half ago. They got to score some more points on defense. They got on offense, excuse me. They got to put together all 3 phases consistently, especially if they're going to play Ohio State, who seems like the most complete team in the country right now.
Ohio State, number 2 in the playoff rankings as it stands right now. H.J. Green making that play defensively for Oklahoma State. Look at the top 5 here. LSU on top after that win over Georgia. Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, 1 through 4. So if the playoff were today, those would be your top 4 teams. You agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with it. And I think there's the argument with Clemson with their schedule, but they've been blowing everybody out. Georgia's got a tough game against Auburn today, so a lot to be learned from that as well. And then with the Tua injury, you know, depending on how severe it is, that's going to change their whole approach offensively.
This has been a rough day on the punters. We do have a flag down in the backfield here. Let's see what the call is. As Kyle Thompson is slow to get up. Yeah, that looks like that's Maybe a good acting job there by Thompson, but there definitely was contact.
Yeah, definitely contact, and certainly not egregious. That is one of those running into the kicker things. He didn't try to maliciously take him out or anything like that. So
Running into the kicker on the receiving team, 5-yard penalty, replay, 4th down.
So you called it. Likely going to see another punt here from Thompson.
Well, now that now with the 5-yard penalty, it's going to be 4th and less than a yard.
And you are correct. Going to roll Manny Miles.
A little Manny Miles to Ben Miles on the handoff.
Miles to Miles connection as Les looks on. Watching his son and call the senior's number. And I don't even know if I want to guess whether he picked up that first down or not today.
We were wrong earlier, but we were at least justified with Dean Blandino saying that we were right. This one looks like he's short. Should I even go ahead and say it? I think he's short.
Yeah, there didn't seem to be an initial surge there, and I don't think there was a secondary surge, but they may give it to him anyway, which it looks like they just did. What do we know?
What do we know? Yeah. We're so far away, right? That's our excuse.
Well, let's see what they can do with it. It's the first down of this half for KU. And now the ball on the 35. Miles to throw. High throw, but that's pulled down by Parchment, so first down Kansas.
Well, they caught Oklahoma State in a blitz. And where do you like to attack a blitz is right where they're blitzing from. So they see the blitz, he recognizes it, stays in there in the face pressure, and develops a nice little floating ball over the defender to Parchment.
Low snap to Miles, swings it out quickly to Robinson, and that falls incomplete, nothing going there.
Well, that ball is delivered just a touch behind him. Robinson just sort of on the left hip there, and yes, Robinson, yes, you should have come up with that ball, as you're not in a position right now to have any sort of unforced errors on yourself.
How about Les Miles? What a treat it is to coach your kids on any level, let alone a Power 5 program, and he's coaching not one but 2 of his kids for Kansas on 2nd and 10. Puka falls ahead for about a yard.
Well, I think the most important thing about that is the fact that, as any sort of coach, not just the head coach, but during the season, there's not a lot of family time. You're not home very much. The grueling work hours for coaches is a lot. And so the fact you can have your 2 kids in the building with you, at least be around them, I think that's got to be such a nice little benefit for him having his kids there.
Miles to throw on 3rd and 9. Quick pass out to the left side of the field. And that's Puka. Stopped by Malcolm Rodriguez, 2 yards shy of the first.
I think you have to be in 4-down territory pretty much throughout this game. Obviously, as the game goes on, if you're inside your own 25-yard line, probably pumped. But outside of that, I don't think you have any choice now but to go for it on every 4th down.
Officially 4th and 3. Balls on the 43-yard line. Behind the intended receiver, that's picked off by Oklahoma State. The 3rd interception of the game. Harvell Peel with his 2nd pick.
And again, both of Harvell Peel's interceptions are balls that are thrown just behind the receiver. They play short underneath zone, so you need some time for the receiver to find that void. And right when he finds it, you see Miles deliver the ball, but he doesn't adjust for the speed at which Charlotte's going across the field. The ball's thrown behind, and Colby Colby Harvell-Peel with his 5th interception on the year.
Good hand there by the puck safety. Came into the game 6th in the nation in passes defensed. Broke up 6 passes against Iowa State alone. And he was actually responsible for 3 turnovers against TCU. Very active in that secondary. And keeping his feet, here's L.D. Brown, still on his feet inside the 25 and then out of bounds at the 23-yard line. Flags flying after a late hit. 26-yard run by the speedster L.D. Brown.
Well, just take a look at just the balance. We've been talking about Chuba this whole game, and LD says, hey, guys, can you talk about me every once in a while?
Personal foul, weighted out of bounds. Defense, number 11. Half distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
And how about that? The guy that we talk about is tone setter for this defense that always sort of running down a hill, delivering hits, and Mike Lee, and he's the man at the end of that play that side swipes LD Brown and draws the penalty.
A good 3 yards out of bounds, and he had been for a good 2 beats before Mike Lee, the 4-year starter, comes in low and gets the penalty. 31-0. Oklahoma State on top of Kansas here in Stillwater. FS1 College Football sponsored by Credit One Bank, the official credit card of the Big 12 Conference. Taking a look there at the immaculate facilities here at Oklahoma State, as they are trying to put a few more points on the board. L.D. Brown giving Chuba Hubbard a little bit of a breather. Davon Ferguson on the stop for Kansas.
That's the thing, when I come here to Stillwater, I don't think people realize the type of first-class facilities that this university has. The stadium itself, pretty darn cool, man.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It's a great stadium. It's almost bowled all the way in. Suites all around. The facilities, the weight room, the meeting rooms, everything is first class.
No, this is a special place. Passing complete. Drew Brown was looking for Jordan McCray.
Well, how about the basketball arena? We had a chance to step in there before the game. That's a great place as well.
First trip here to Stillwater, and I have come away thoroughly impressed, not only by the facilities, but the people here as well. Walking around downtown a little bit last night, Eskimo Joe's was packed. The folks at the Atherton Hotel have been phenomenal. Had a great meal at the garage. Brown trying to squeeze it in there, but Elijah Jones was having none of it.
Well, he had Tyrell Alexander, the junior receiver who's getting some playing time in this game now. He had him wide open on the back part of the play, but it would have taken a long throw across his body. He opts to stay front side. That play's knocked away, and we're going to tend to an injury right now.
So you asked earlier during a break.
What'd I ask?
I wonder when the last time Oklahoma State pitched a shutout. How about this?
Did you find out?
The last time they shut out a conference opponent at home, 1961. That conference opponent happened to be your Kansas State boys.
Well,
you weren't there in 1961, so you can't be held responsible.
At the time, I mean, come on. Here's what the deal is, you know, in Kansas State, you know, back in the day, we weren't very good. We weren't very good, all right? We got better. We got better, but 1961.
Been a minute.
Wow.
Neither one of us were on this earth when that happened. Look at Mike Gundy's. They're going to the review monitor. You know, I can't, when you think about what Mike Gundy has accomplished here, is we're going to look at this play one more time to see.
I'm not exactly sure what they're looking at.
I'm not really sure either.
It's an incomplete pass,
Right.
so shouldn't the ball just go right back to where it
the line
started?
of scrimmage? But sure we get a thorough explanation from Brandon Cruz here in a moment. But I just want to go back to Mike Gundy. What he has accomplished here, he is going to have his 14th straight winning season at his alma mater after he is courted repeatedly by other schools, and he's made the decision to stay here and build a program that has become one of the best in the country, ranked 22 in the college football playoff ranking as we sit here today. It's really remarkable, and it was started with Les Miles when he was here at Oklahoma State. And when
we'll take a quick pause. Yeah. We'll give you guys some clarity on what they're looking at here. They're looking at a possible targeting issue, and it's not at the end of the play, but it's it looks like as LD Brown is sort of going out to the flat, and Jay Deneen, the linebacker for Kansas, is going upfield. Did he intentionally
stop to look for potential targeting? After reviewing the play, there is no foul for targeting. It's 4th down.
Okay, we got a quick peek at it there, and you can see Deneen kind of ducked his head as he was going into LD Brown. We didn't have a great shot, but kind of got the gist of what they were looking at. So Oklahoma State trying to put 3 more points up on the board. Matt Amendola, 1 for 3 on the day. He had just 1 miss all season coming in. And misses again. Very, very strange for one of the better kickers in the country. But it is still a 31-0 Oklahoma State lead. Coming up after us, number 19 Texas taking on Iowa State. UT coming off a win over K-State, puts it back in the top 25. Iowa State, a 2-point conversion away from upsetting Oklahoma. Iowa State, a good football team. You look at the numbers here for the quarterbacks. Ellinger, 24 touchdown passes, tied for first in the Big 12 alongside Jalen Hurts. And Brock Purdy, just a sophomore, leads the Big 12 with 316 passing yards per game. That's going to be a good one.
Well, and Purdy's starting to catch on fire as of late, and so is their offense. But again, it's their defense. Their defense is number 2 in the Big 12 in scoring defense. And you know, all the metrics that matter, obviously points matter the most. So they're getting it done defensively. John Hickok has done a fantastic job just sort of reinventing the wheel, I think, when it comes to stopping the RPOs, the spread offenses, going to a 3-3-5. That a lot of teams have sort of adopted his philosophies and changed their own defenses because of him. They're going to have the work cut out with Ellinger and Texas, but Iowa State seems to be trending in the right direction right now.
Texas Tech defensive coordinator Keith Patterson told me a couple of weeks ago that pass is complete for Kansas, and they pick up the first down. Looking for a little momentum. TK Williams on the catch. Tanner McAllister in coverage. He said Brock Purdy was the best college quarterback that he's played against.
That was high praise. Yeah, it's a really high praise, and no doubt that he is a talented quarterback. And I think you start the year off a little slow, as kind of the whole team. And you know, like most teams, you know, your team kind of goes the way your quarterback plays. Started the year off a little slow, but as of late, offense has picked up. His play has picked up a lot, and you saw the stat earlier just how well he's done.
Rodarius Williams there in coverage again for Oklahoma State. Carter Stanley back in at quarterback after Manny Miles threw his first interception of the season on the last series. The numbers for Stanley, not what he hoped they would be. He can be really good when this Kansas offense is flowing and everything's going right. 415 yards, 3 touchdowns against Texas Tech. Last game against Kansas State, he had a couple of picks in that one as well, and they just haven't been able to do anything consistently. Charlotte picks up the first down for KU here. Really all day. They haven't been able to get Puka going. The passing game struggled. Turnovers.
No, and you know, we asked about Carter's play this year, and they just said that he has a lot of talent. They got a lot of things that they like. Times when he's on, he's making the right read, and he's doing everything that they want out of the quarterback. But they said, and this is what I thought was interesting, they said his lapses have been significant. So it's not that he's just making mistakes. It's that when he makes a mistake, maybe at the point in the game or where it's on the field, he's like, they just have been so significant for us, we just can't overcome them. And that's why they said going into this game after the bye week was, all right, we got to get him in rhythm, short, quick passing, stuff like that. That's all pretty much what a lot of coaches want to do. But it was the quarterback run game that they were hoping that he'd take a few shots, wake up a little bit, get some juice flowing, but that just never will happen.
Stanley with time, throwing it up, and there is nothing there. Ball lands on the hash marks, and there wasn't a receiver within 10 yards. I will say this, he has been learning a lot of different offenses. Carter Stanley has had 5 different offensive coordinators the last 2 years. He's had 3 this year and 8 total OCs in his college career. Brent Dearman is his current offensive coordinator. He was promoted after that loss to Oklahoma, and Stanley absolutely loves him. Completes this one for the first down to Charlotte. He actually coined the phrase WWDD. What would Dearman do?
Well, he did say this is the most fun that he's ever had in an offense. And, I think he said there's some freedom, some flexibility, some concepts that maybe he wasn't aware of before this. But that's, 8 different coordinators in his time here. It's really hard to overcome and kind of get into a flow and a rhythm of who you are as a player when you've got that many voices, that much advice and feedback, and everybody's got their own idea of your release, your arm angle, the decisions you have to make, your footwork, all of that stuff. And I'm sure right when he feels like he has it down or he understands, coordinators out, new coordinators in.
Right. Well, they're hoping Dearman's going to be here for a long time. He was the head coach at Bethel in Tennessee, a small NAIA school last year. They led the nation, averaging 55 points per game. He came in here as a senior offensive consultant and then promoted to offensive coordinator. And his first 2 games as the OC were fantastic. They nearly upset Texas on the road. The offense went for over 500 yards. His second game, they did upset Texas Tech in Lawrence. The offense goes for 500-plus yards. But the last 2 games have really been a struggle here today and against Kansas State.
Yeah, and again, against Kansas State, they kind of talked about, the players talked about how they just were out-physical. And there's no excuse for that in a rivalry game to have your opponent come into your packed stadium and kind of take to you consistently for 4 quarters. But there has been some life thrown into this offense about getting the ball down the field, and you've seen that just by the stats you mentioned.
3rd and 9, they get that to a man in the middle of the field. Stephon Robinson ducks a tackle, picks up the first down, does that on his own. That was nice.
Yeah, that's nice, and you can see why he's the guy that they trust to run in the middle of every defense. They said he's the best middle of the field runner that they have, and you can see just the toughness it takes. It takes tough-minded guys to do that. And you can see him on display that on that one run.
Ogbong Bamiga misses the tackle there, and one of the best tacklers in the Big 12. Shows you what a good move that was by Robinson. Here's Puka. Lose a couple of tackles, gets back to the line of scrimmage. Amadou Fofana finally gets him down. Easier said than done with Puka sometimes, although the Cowboys have done a nice job containing him today.
Well, Ogbong Bamiga is another guy you mentioned that he missed another tackle. That's twice in this game where he reads the defense perfectly. He's getting upfield, almost getting to the ball before the ball's even handed off, but just going in and not throttling down, trying to make the big hit on Puka, and misses yet again.
2nd and 10 for KU. Quick pass to Lassiter. Dives forward to about the 22-yard line, so going to be a 3rd and short situation.
A little background on Kwame Lassiter. Had a chance to play with, he is Kwame Lassiter the second. I played with Kwame Lassiter the first, his father, when I was a member of the then San Diego Chargers. So, Kwame, if you're watching and listening, hope you're doing well. Hope everything's going well in Arizona for you, man.
Well, your former teammate's been busy. Had 8 kids. Kwame with 7 brothers and sisters. So a big family. Hopefully they're all watching. 3rd and 4 for Stanley. Tries to squeeze it in there. And how do they rule that? Because
did Rodarius pick that? No,
it looked like he had it for a moment. And they're still wrestling for it on the ground. That's Parchment and Williams. Yeah. I did too think initially that Williams, they almost caught it simultaneously, and it looks like Rodarius Williams looks like he had it, and I think Parchment wrestled it away.
He did. That was impressive. I thought in real time Rodarius made like a one-handed grab and came down with the ball, but then after the fight
for Oklahoma State, timeout on the field.
Parchment just come down with it and just sort of wrestled it out of midair.
Well, tie goes to the receiver.
I'll take it.
31-0. We're back after this. Just under 8.5 to go here in Stillwater, and Kansas with the first down situation. Stanley to the end zone. Touchdown, Jayhawks. Stephon Robinson from 14 yards out, and KU finally on the board.
Well, finally, they had the opportunity. They got what they wanted defensively to get Robinson to streak from the right over to the left with no backside defender dropping off. And just when I thought Carter wasn't going to throw the ball on time, he does a nice job of letting them clear. And it was the accuracy to throw it on the run, because we've seen now 2 interceptions by Miles and Stanley thrown behind the streaking receivers, and that time Stanley does a great job putting that knock right out in front, and Robinson with the touchdown.
Red zone has been kind to Kansas this season. Jayhawks going to go for 2 here. Stanley back to the left. Jack Luavasa. Man who caught the pass, not going to get there. As Devin Harper makes the stop. We do have a flag down right around the 15-yard line. And Puka Williams having a discussion with Brandon Cruz, the referee in this one.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct. Offense number 1. It's his first of the game. Penalty be enforced on the kickoff. Time on the field.
Now we know why they were having a discussion. Unsportsmanlike conduct. We'll figure that out here momentarily. 13 plays, 80 yards, and first touchdown of the game for Kansas. FS1 College Football, sponsored by Dave & Buster's. Download new Dave & Buster's Fun app today. Braden Johnson, Landon Wolf. Deep to return the kick that bounces down to 1-yard line before it's finally scooped up by Johnson. Breaks 1 tackle, out past the 10-yard line to the 17 before he's taken down.
I'm sort of wondering, is he going to pick the ball up?
Yeah, I think he was, I guess, waiting for it to bounce into the end zone, which is a risky proposition, and then it just kind of stops there on the 6-inch line.
And he almost, because of the timing, set up the blocks perfectly. But the reason why they're kicking on the 20 is because of the Puka Williams personal foul that knocked the it was a play penalty after the play. So they normally kick from the 35, 15-yard penalty assessed, kick from the 20.
And Oklahoma State gonna keep it on the Brown. Juba Hubbard on the sideline right now as there's a little more wrestling going on. And you can see Gavin Potter getting up. Not me. Didn't do anything.
Yeah, nothing to see here. Well, it'd almost be understandable, I guess, if you're Kansas, to be a little frustrated. There's a time of the game, especially defensively, where you know, physically, I think they're just getting beat up front, and Chuba sort of had his way, and you know, they haven't broken anything major, but a couple big shots down the field. So, of course, could be some frustration. We saw some frustration out of Puka Williams on the 2 plays before this.
LD Brown in the game at running back as the quick pass is thrown out to C.J. Moore. Elmore Hempstead on coverage as Moore loses helmet for a moment. Look at the numbers here. Certainly a better day for Chuba Hubbard. 164 total yards on 25 touches. Puka, as talented as he is, hasn't really been able to get anything going today. 13 touches, 26 total yards for Puka Williams.
Well, and there's just been really no place for Puka to run. I mean, he's tried to find something, bounce into the outside, using his patient style that he uses to wait for blocks to open up, but it's been all Oklahoma State's front 7 that has shut down Puka Williams today.
3rd and 1 for Oklahoma State. Brown ahead for the first down, but you can see the flags are down. And I think one thing we haven't talked enough about today, this is the all-name.
Offside, defense number 5. 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
So they get the first. And the all-name running back game. Puka and Chuba. You don't see that very often. Two pretty cool names.
Pretty easy to remember.
Yeah. Let's take a look ahead at the road for both teams, sponsored by Coors Light, made to chill. You can celebrate responsibly. You can also see that coming up next, a big game between 19th ranked Texas and Iowa State. That's here on FS1. That is going to be a good one. And getting a little frisky out there, I think. KU defense is getting frustrated.
Well, I'm not really sure what the issue is. Davon Ferguson comes down from a safety spot and just puts his helmet right into LD Brown's midsection, which was a clean hit. And I think he got dumped a little bit. I'm talking about LD Brown just got dumped on the ground, but everything to me seemed clean. Violent, but clean.
Here's another look.
I suppose it was the throw down to the ground, but
yeah, he let him go on the way down.
Let him go. Yeah, it wasn't a true suplex.
OSU has now won 66 straight when holding its opponent to less than 20 points dating back to 2003, and another flag down on what should have been a big run by LD Brown.
Personal foul, illegal block below waist, offense, number 87, hit the player low from the side. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot, second down.
Well, and it may have been on Najee Stevens-McKenzie, the linebacker for Kansas, who got up limping back to the huddle. And if you remember right, a few series ago, as you see at the bottom of your screen, there's the low, his knee just bends awkwardly. He was injured earlier in this game, had to be tended off the field. He did run off the field on his own power, so it's nice to see him come back, but took a nasty little shot there to his right knee.
Yeah, that shot coming from Logan Carter, the 6'4", 245-pound redshirt junior from Henrietta High School in Texas. And Brown again, not quite back to the original line of scrimmage, and again, they're mixing it up. Frustrations flowing over a little bit for both teams.
And now Gavin Potter's been told to take a seat by the officials, just pointed to the sidelines and said, you need to go take a breather, so figure out what he did on that play.
How often does that happen without a penalty? They just tell a guy to get off the field.
I've never seen that. Just go take a timeout.
That's bizarre.
Go sit on the front step.
Now, I've been told to take a lot of timeouts in my lifetime, but never seen that really in a college football game, I don't believe. Unless it's your own coach. 3rd and 14 for the Pokes. And another penalty flag flying on the L.D. Brown run. This is getting ridiculous.
Offense number 72, 10-yard penalty. It's third down.
Then we get Johnny Wilson, the center. This is just your garden variety holding, but my goodness, there's been flags, there's been roughing, there's been hard hits. We've got one guy sent to the penalty box by the officials.
A suplex. It wasn't really a suplex.
Yeah.
Well, it's the Big 12 conference games. Emotions flowing. Kansas, high hopes for this season. Their goal before the season started with new head coach Les Miles was to make a bowl game. They had to win out to get to 6-6 to make that a reality. That obviously not going to come to fruition at this point. I think still a lot of building blocks for Les in Lawrence. Oklahoma State with a chance at another 10-win season potentially. And Logan fields the punt at the 19-yard line for Kansas, and he is thrown out of bounds after a 5-yard pickup. 49-yard punt. We're back to wrap things up after this. Going back to Stillwater, let's take a look ahead at the road ahead for both teams, sponsored by Coors Light. Made to chill, celebrate responsibly. Coming up for Kansas, they're at Iowa State. And then it's the 13th ranked Baylor Bears. West Virginia up next for the Cowboys. And then a game against number 10, Oklahoma. That's sure to be a good one. Anytime the Sooners and Cowboys meet.
Well, talking about these facilities, I'd love to see this place with Bedlam going on. Hopefully it's a night game. That time has not been announced, but a night game here against Oklahoma, that'd be pretty sweet.
That'd be awesome right after Thanksgiving. You know, you look at talk about the Iowa State game coming up next against Texas. 3 of the Cyclones' 4 losses by a combined 4 points, all to ranked teams. I mean, 5-4 is Iowa State's record. This is a very good football team.
It is a good football team, and they've just, you know, they sputtered a little bit sometimes on offense, but again, that defense is so stout they can stay in every single game that they're playing.
Stanley to throw on 3rd and 7. Got his man first down, Kansas. So they're going to hold on to the ball here. Thomas Harper on the stop after the 11-yard pickup.
Well, no surprise, you're going to continue to air this ball out. Score at this point doesn't matter, but Kansas is going to take another look at trying to get a big play down the field, put some points on the board when we come back to Stillwater.
Back in Stillwater, 31-6. The Pokes on top of Kansas with 2:35 to go here. And KU would love to find the end zone at least one more time before this is all said and done. We have seen 3 quarterbacks play for Kansas: Carter Stanley, Thomas McVitie, and Manny Miles. All 3 as this one is complete. So they are in Oklahoma State territory. And that's Evan Ferrers with the catch and a pickup of 20 for the Jayhawks. As I was saying, 3 different quarterbacks. McVitie, Miles, and Stanley have played, and all 3 have thrown interceptions in this game.
I don't know what. I've never been involved in a game that there's been 3 separate quarterbacks each throwing an interception. I mean, that's incredible.
Quan Hampton with his first catch of the season for Kansas.
Well, and you know what's frustrating is you're watching this. You're watching Carter Stanley, just him individually. There are some throws that are really good throws.
You know, when he has some time and the concepts are there, the routes are there, they're doing everything right. And then all of a sudden throw behind a guy, gets tipped, gets intercepted. Right. You know, they can't get the run game going, and all of a sudden they get behind the chains on a bad run and a bad incomplete pass, and then they just don't have the confidence to get down the field on 3rd and long. So I can see how if you're Kansas, you can see just through these glimmers of hope with this Dearman-led offense that they can get the ball down the field with this personnel. They just got to do it more consistently.
Well, we have seen this Dearman offense put up yards in their first 2 games. We mentioned earlier, 500 yards per twice. This is Kwame Lassiter breaking a tackle and getting it down to the 11-yard line. They've just struggled last couple of games, and the concepts are there. And when we talked to the coaches, it talked about the rhythm and Carter Stanley getting the ball in his hand quickly, and they did not want to put him in those 3rd and long situations. Maybe there's too much that goes through his head in those situations, but right now they're in a fine situation. 1st and 10 on the 12 with 2 wide receivers to his right, and he decides to go the other way. A diving attempt made by Lassiter, but pretty good coverage.
And you look at these last 2 throws, you know, both these throws to Lassiter, the one was a little back shoulder stop. It was perfectly timed. Right when his back foot hit, he gets the ball out. The ball's delivered before Lassiter can make his break. He turns around, makes the catch before the defender can even react. That's the type of plays that you want. Even that last play, that wasn't a bad ball, and Lassiter could not track it coming into him. So, you know, there are glimpses where he's doing all the right things.
415 yards against Texas Tech. This one complete, hauled in at the 10-yard line by T.K. Williams. So everybody getting a chance here on this Kansas offense as they're throwing it around here, trying to convert. We're going to be looking at 3rd and 8 from the 9-yard line, so they could pick up a 1st down and get a fresh set of downs. They could get it down to about the 1.5.
Well, and I think just to continue the conversation about their passing attack, as we've seen Parchment and Robinson and Charlotte. Lassiter's been in there. We saw Evan Fairs get involved late in this game on this particular drive. But all those guys I mentioned, they're all pretty athletic. They can all make the catch. They can all run the routes. They have some weapons out there. And, you know, we were talking to Jim Knowles, the Oklahoma State defensive coordinator, and he even said there's some talent out there. They've got some talented wide receivers. They just have to find them a little bit more often.
Jim Knowles in his 2nd season as the defensive coordinator at Oklahoma State after 8 years at Duke. Let's see what he dials up here on 3rd and 8 to try to keep Kansas out of the end zone. He dials up a blitz. He brings the house. There were definitely 7, maybe more guys coming. Wow.
Boy, about a half a beat before that ball was snapped, it looked like the whole defense was going to rush after the quarterback. A 0 blitz, which a lot of defenses do, which means you blitz everybody and you have nobody in the middle back part of your defense. Leaves your defense vulnerable, but in those situations where you get home like that, usually it's an incomplete pass.
4th down throw from Carter Stanley to the corner of the end zone. And it is brought down. What a tremendous catch by Quan Hampton. Came into the game with 0 catches on the season. Had one just a few moments ago. Now his first touchdown of the year. Nice throw, nice catch.
Well, it's a beautiful catch, and that's the thing. It's Jim Knowles dials up another 0 blitz, so everybody's manned up on the outside. You know you're going to get man coverage, so all you have to do is throw it up, and you just hope that your guy can adjust to the ball and make a great catch. And Quan Hampton did exactly that. High-pointed the football, used his hands, pulled down the touchdown reception.
That was actually pretty solid coverage by Jarek Bernard. Didn't get the head turned around, but not a whole lot he could do there. Quan Hampton, 5'8", 178 pounds, the redshirt sophomore from Texarkana, Texas. Coming up tonight, a huge Big 12 matchup 10th-ranked Oklahoma taking on number 13 Baylor. It's the best offense in the Big 12 against the best defense in the Big 12.
Yeah, I mean, both of these teams are looking to sort of right the ship a little bit. I know it's hard to say that about Baylor because they haven't lost yet, but they need people to believe in them, that they are a playoff caliber team. And the reason they're not getting respected enough is because their offense is sputtering. You know, Charlie Brewer's turned the ball over. Their defense, best scoring defense in the Big 12. So no mistake they can play defense, but this Baylor Bear offense is winning a lot of close games. They just aren't putting it together to be so dynamic and so explosive that people think they should be in the conversation, but they could quell all of that if they come out against Oklahoma and put up some offensive numbers.
The onside kick here fielded by Jordan McCray. And just to put a button on that Baylor conversation, they're 13 in the college football playoff ranking. That's the lowest ranked 9-0 team from a Power 5 conference in college football playoff ranking history.
Well, again, because I just don't think that people believe that they're a complete football team. And you've got some of these offenses and some of these teams that are putting a lot of points on the board and they're showing off their athleticism and showing off that they have dynamic players, and which they do. They've always had track speed on the outside, but they haven't put it together offensively. You know, kudos to them. Have a ton of respect for Matt Rule and what he's done there. He's the right guy for the job, and they just need to get a little bit more explosiveness. And Oklahoma too. They need to go out and prove that their offense has kind of sputtered the last 6-7 quarters. They need to go out and have a good game as well.
Look at all the Big 12 teams just a moment ago in the college football playoff rankings. Oklahoma State sitting there at number 22. Helped their case today as they will improve to 7-3 on the season with a chance for another 10-win season here under Mike Gundy. They have seen more than a few of those 6-10 seasons in the last decade. Could it be number 7? Mike Gundy beats the former head coach here at Oklahoma State, Les Miles, teacher and pupil. Gundy said there were times when they would butt heads, but they always got back on the same page. They remain friends to this day. And it's going to go in the books as a 31-13 win for the student. Les Miles had his entire family here for this one. His wife Kathy on the field before the game. She, of course, was a point guard at Michigan, Central Michigan, and coach at Michigan. So, Miles' family, good memories from Stillwater. Today, maybe not going to be one of them in terms of what happened on the football field. A fine performance by Cowboys of Oklahoma State. Another 100-yard game for their star running back, Chuba Hubbard. For Ben Lieber and the rest of our crew, I'm Dan Helly. Thank you so very much for watching. Let's send it back to the studio in L.A. with Rob Stone and the guys.